Their loss and your gain. MyPillow is offering the Classic Collection for wholesale prices. Only $19.98 for a standard MyPillow. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer the entire Classic Collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $24.98. Upgrade to king size for only $29.98. Get the body pillows for $39.98. And the multi-use MyPillows for only $12.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing and receive $100 in free digital gifts when your order is $75 or more. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $19.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
Hi, this is Sean Thompson. When you take your grandkids to Disney, do they know what's in your investment portfolio? Do they even care? They're busy having a great time, and you're busy making memories. At Alpha Wealth Group, Tom Fortino understands the nuts and bolts of retirement planning, the investments, the stock market, taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and much more. But think about it. What are you really trying to do here? Is your goal to beat the S&P, or is your goal to make memories with your family? At Alpha Wealth Group, their goal is to give you the confidence to spend in retirement without the fear of running out of money. Call Tom Fortino and the team at Alpha Wealth Group to learn more. You can do it today. Call 630-864-6711. The number again, 630-864-6711. To schedule a no-obligation consultation. You can do it today online as well at alphawealthgroup.com. That's alphawealthgroup.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
If you need custom boxes and crates, expert packing and crating, import-export transloading with heavy lift capability, the DC Group delivers. It all started 51 years ago with DC Export and Domestic Packing, the hard work of founders Dominic and Carol Cochamiglio. Their family's desire to exceed customer expectations, backed by an incredible team and loyal customers, is now driving expansion. From their humble roots in a garage-sized building to 100,000 square feet in the Chicago area, 45,000 in Greenville, and a new Houston facility, they're coast to coast, and their sister company, DC Transport, handles everything from container drayage to super heavy haul loads across North America since 1991. Whether it's packing and crating, transloading, transportation service, or trade shows, the DC Group delivers. Those that attended FabTech 2025, we'd love to hear from you. Get your quote now at dcexport.com. That's dcexport.com, your trusted logistics partner.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. For this free information, call 800-422-1609, 800-422-1609, 800-422-1609, or simply visit godra.com.
Is the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians the revival of an ancient conflict recorded in the Bible?
The nation of Israel is a resurrected nation. So what if there was going to be a resurrection of another people, an enemy people of Israel? The Bible speaks about this whole war as a dragon representing the enemy attacking a woman representing Israel.
Dinesh D'Souza's new film, The Dragon's Prophecy, offers new understanding of October 7th, Israel, radical Islam, anti-Semitism, and biblical prophecy. Could the fate of the world, of humanity itself, be tied to this place?
We came back to a land that was largely barren and empty, and we brought it back to life, and we're going to keep it.
The dragon will not prevail.
The Dragon's Prophecy, based on Jonathan Cahn's international bestseller. Watch it now or buy the DVD at salemnow.com. That's salemnow.com.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. America recently learned that Jay Jones, the Democratic nominee for Virginia Attorney General, sent text wishing death on a political rival and his children. Someone who fails such a basic test of personal decency is obviously unfit, morally and perhaps psychologically, to serve as any state's top law enforcement officer. But apparently it's not obvious to everyone. Although Democrats, including Virginia Democratic gubernatorial nominee Abigail Spanberger, condemned the remarks, not one called for Jones to withdraw from the race. Not one. That's as shocking as the remarks themselves. Democrats stand united in supporting a man who wished death on his opponent's child. Extremism won't be stopped by appeals from the other side of the political divide. Democrats must be policed by Democrats. But to their shame, they simply refuse to do it.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Anthony and John here from Bionic Auto Parts, proud clients of Signature Bank. We deliver high-quality, recycled and remanufactured auto parts to Chicago and Milwaukee. Our mission is simple: provide parts safely, reliably, with great customer satisfaction.
We process over 350 vehicles a month. With big banks, everything took forever. Layers of approvals and endless delays. At Signature Bank, one call got it done. Whether it's lending, deposits, or treasury management, they deliver fast. Signature Bank made us feel like family. That's a partnership we deeply appreciate.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gabe Alice, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners. All-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
What if the music stopped? If the familiar voices were silenced? If there were no breaking news updates? What if your companion and connection to your community came with a monthly fee? Don't worry, we're free local radio with you wherever you go, celebrating 100 years and looking forward to the next 100. We are broadcasters. Text radio to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on your local TV and radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
When it comes to industrial coating and finishing, cutting corners isn't an option. That's why leading manufacturers across the Midwest trust D&D Industrial Coatings in Racine, Wisconsin. From powder coating and liquid painting to blasting and custom finishing, D&D Industrial delivers top-tier protection and performance, fast, precise, and built to last. With over 40 years of experience, ISO-certified processes, and state-of-the-art lines, D&D handles everything from OEMs and petrochemical to agriculture, marine, construction, medical, and government specs. Family-owned, nationally trusted. Whether it's a short run or high volume, your parts are in expert hands, finished on time and finished right. Visit them today, ddindustrial.net. Again, that's ddindustrial.net. Or call them at 262-637-0686 to get your custom quote today. Again, that's 262-637-0686. D&D Industrial Coatings, engineered to protect, finished to impress.
Whether you are old or young, no one likes to lose money. The market is at an all-time high. How much risk does your portfolio really have in it? Are you worried that you could lose your hard-earned money? Call TJ Stearns in Arlington Heights at 800-640-2256 for your free risk report. Call right now and we will include a full analysis of your portfolio. Don't wait until it's too late. Call TJ Stearns, a local and longtime sponsor on AM 560. Call 800-640-2256. Call now and tell him AM 560 sent you.
Be prepared for tax changes in 2025. Without a solid strategy, you could risk losing more of your hard-earned savings than necessary. VestGen Wealth Partners can help develop proactive tax plans designed to help keep more money in your pockets. Visit GetRetiredStayRetired.com for a free review.
Advisory services offered through VestGen Advisors LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Securities offered through Private Client Services LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Private Client Services and VestGen Advisors LLC are unaffiliated entities. Any information discussed does not constitute investment advice. VestGen Advisors and Private Client Services do not offer tax legal advice.
For decades, Dennis Prager shared his wisdom with listeners around the world through his lectures, courses, interviews, and debates. Now, for the first time, the collective wisdom of Dennis Prager is being made available as a podcast. Listen to Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager, with new episodes released for a limited time only as a podcast. Subscribe for free today at DennisPrager.com. That's Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager, exclusively at DennisPrager.com.
Did you know a will alone does not keep your family out of court when you die? The court still has to approve your will, but get a living trust, and your estate can be settled clearly without issue. Talk to the attorneys at Naumann & Associates. They prepare wills and trusts for a flat fee, no surprises, no hourly rate. With decades of experience, they know the law and offer a free consultation. Contact Naumann & Associates in Elk Grove Village, nalawgroup.com. Call 847-593-8777.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. During cold and flu season, a nearby cough or sneeze can trigger a familiar dread, that helpless feeling of being defenseless against an invisible viral threat. But what if you could change the narrative? What if you could fortify your body's natural defenses? This is why I developed Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail designed to give your body the upper hand. Virago is more than a supplement. It's a revolutionary liquid formula packed with 23 powerful natural nutraceuticals for rapid absorption. This unique blend is scientifically crafted to help build resilience and keep you protected. Don't just hope for good health. Make it happen with Virago. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
Virago. Order your bottle today online at myvirago.com and use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. myvirago.com. Coupon code IMMUNE.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will bring abundant sunshine with a high of 65. Tonight, expect mainly clear skies with a low of 48. Tomorrow, we'll start with some sun before turning cloudy, reaching a high of 69. Saturday looks to have plenty of sunshine with a high of 67. Sunday will be partly sunny with a high of 69. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Federal workers exhausted. Emotionally exhausted from the government shutdown. After a week, their emotional stability has been compromised. They are emotionally drained. And so with the last bit of energy they could muster, they gathered with their union bosses in Federal Plaza yesterday to protest the government shutdown. I mean, they're protesting themselves, their party mainly. I mean, I understand all federal workers are not Democrats, but certainly the AFGE, American Federation of Government Employees, the AFGE driven ones are. And by the way, you can always tell from the politicians who show up who is their constituents. And who are the politicians that showed up? Jelly Belly, Raja, the full complement of representatives of the Chicago neo-Marxist power structure in this state. Here is Brent Barron. He is with something called the National Council of Field Labor Locals.
I'm calling on everybody to stand with the federal employees in this country and end this shutdown.
No.
I think what the White House is clearly signaling is they're not going to follow the law. And that concerns all of us.
Yeah, and so they're particularly animated, in addition to the week off, that the week off is not a guaranteed paid vacation. Essentially. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. The gang was all there, as I said, including His Honor.
Workers and union leaders from the EPA, IRS, Social Security Administration, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, among others, showing up to make their voices heard alongside local, state, and federal office holders. Governor J.B. Pritzker joining the news conference in progress.
Donald Trump has not only closed the government, but also is threatening to take away your paychecks.
Of course. He's done that. It wasn't Schumer shut down. It wasn't anything that the obstructionist minority party had to do with it. And that's exactly the terminology they would use anytime that it was Republicans behaving obstreperously in this context to demand modest spending rate reductions and demonized as irresponsible and jeopardizing the emotional stability of the federal workforce. And God knows we can't have that. But, it's not just their emotional stability. It's all of us. We're all in this together. Of course we are. And have you thought about the implications? Have you thought about the ripple effects? How has your life changed over the last 8 days since all of those assembled in Federal Plaza have been, well, actually, many of them have not been furloughed yet. They're just protesting in anticipation of potentially being furloughed. They're protesting in anticipation of potentially not getting back pay. But the implications, the ripple effects, the stone in the water. Jill Hornick from the aforesaid AFGE. Whose side are you on? Sing it with me.
Jill Hornick's union represents Social Security workers in Illinois. She says the stress level in federal offices among employees is incredibly high.
When they're trying to serve the American public and they're mentally not healthy, mistakes happen. So the ripple effects of what a shutdown does are incredible.
Mistakes happen when federal workers are not mentally healthy.
I'd like to establish what the baseline of mental health is with the federal workforce. And look, I don't have anything against federal workers in generally, other than to say that many of their jobs should not exist because the federal government should just not be in some of the businesses they're in. But nothing personal against them. But I mean, the ripple effects and their mental health, and they're emotionally exhausted. It's been a week. Can you please find a grip on reality? Oh, the prospect of not having job security. Welcome to the entire private sector. Hi, honestly. Mike in Union.
Did Governor Pritzker say that they were going to take money from their paychecks? And where does Illinois rank as far as in the nation is taxation? Is this guy a clown?
Yes.
What a hypocrite.
Yes,
Thanks,
he
man.
is. Thanks, Mike. Joe in Naperville.
Yeah, I wish that somebody could point to me another profession that you get paid not to work. And if this woman was so concerned about the mental health of public employees, what about the mental health of ICE, who they're calling Nazis every single day?
Those federal employees don't count, Joe. Yeah, we're not worried about those federal employees. The IRS, the EPA, those that are part of the government union mob. That's who we're worried about. Those at Federal Plaza. Yeah, nobody was there from federal law enforcement agencies, particularly ICE, or from the Department of Homeland Security generally, because they don't count. They're not worried about those people. Actually, the essential employees. They're worried about all these non-essentials. And by the way, again, as we said at the outset, just a reminder, half of the cabinet level agencies, a supermajority of their employees are designated as non-essential. I mean, first of all, that's got to be great for the morale. How does that impact the emotional stability, the ripple effects, the prospect of mistakes being made? I'm non-essential for my entire career. So there's that, too. Brother. I mean, it's just the whole put upon, right? Insular, privileged class of people. When anything bad happens to them, because they are to be insulated from the consequences of the real world, then everybody who is not insulated is supposed to rally to their defense. All right, coming up at 5:38. Speaking of Jelly Belly, he and his lieutenant responding to President Trump's quote-unquote threat to imprison our fair governor. 5:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 50 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. President Trump is calling for retaliation against Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson as they accuse him of abusing his power in an immigration crackdown. Fox's Jeff Manasso reports.
President Trump on Truth Social calling for Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker to be jailed, accusing the two Democrats of failing to protect federal immigration officers amid recent violent attacks on agents. On X, Pritzker saying in part, "I'm not backing down." Johnson, "I'm not going anywhere," also telling us Tuesday.
The fact that he has declared war on the city of Chicago is disconcerting to say the least.
That as legal action plays out over the deployment in suburban Chicago of the Texas National Guard and soon to be deployed Illinois Guard troops that the president has federalized. In Chicago, Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
OSF Healthcare has announced a new masking requirement for all employees, patients, and visitors. Similar visitor restrictions are also in place at Memorial Health and Hospital Sisters Health System hospitals. This news report is sponsored by King's Hawaiian Sliders. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your...
Catch more money with leading economist Steve Moore.
I'm excited about America. I think things are going really well. I think we've turned a corner here. I think Biden economics is well behind us now. This is a miracle what's going on here. If anything, it's better than I thought it would be. So many good things can happen in the economy. Low inflation, low unemployment rate, consumer confidence up, business confidence up. All of the indicators are pointing north right now.
It's More Money, Saturday at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
You know, nothing beats the comfort of a perfectly heated home.
And when it comes to heating your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Air Right Heating and Cooling is fast. When your furnace breaks down, they'll fix it right away.
Just like that. Big time results. No waiting around. You get the job done right. And let's face it, who doesn't love being warm, right? It's beautiful. When it's freezing, I crank up that amazing furnace. Burn, baby, burn. Trust me, you'll say, wow, I've never felt this warm in my life.
If you like keeping your hard-earned money, then contact Air Right Heating and Cooling. Tell them AM 560 sent you, and right now you'll receive $56 off any service.
Unbelievable.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Want to see if you could pay less in taxes? Try the quick and easy tax calculator at willsave.com. Yes, a free tax calculator. That's WILSAVE.com. Calculate how you could keep more of your hard-earned money and give less to Uncle Sam, especially in retirement. Get your free tax analysis today at willsave.com. And don't forget to tune in to Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman every Saturday morning at 8, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Rising debt, stock market swings, and global shocks can affect your retirement. But even in this economy, there's still opportunity. Protect your retirement with a secure, tax-advantaged gold IRA. Instead of leaving a 401k or IRA at the mercy of markets, hold physical gold or silver. Real protection for your future. And Noble Gold makes it simple. Visit NobleGoldInvestments.com and chat with a specialist. The conversation is free, and the peace of mind is priceless. NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions.
Protect your liver and give it the support it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or at newnordicusa.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will be sunny with a high of 65. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 48. Tomorrow, expect some sun followed by increasing clouds and a high of 69. Saturday will bring plenty of sunshine with a high of 67. Sunday will be partly sunny with a high of 69. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So the National Guard deployed yesterday, 500 strong, combination of Texas and Illinois, 200 from Texas, 300 from here. The invasion, the Trump invasion of Chicago, the war he has declared on Chicago and Illinois. That's the terminology that's being used. Yeah. 10, 12, 50 million people from around the world allowed to come in here. It was called an invasion, not by these same people saying Trump has invaded Chicago or Illinois. But I never liked that term because it was an invitation. I want responsibility where it belongs, and that was with the political decision makers that opened the borders. But regardless, I don't want to quibble on so much on that. That I understand why people would call it that. It was a sanctioned invasion, but an invasion, invasion by invitation. But they don't consider that untoward. But federal law enforcement enforcing federal law with the backstop of our friends and neighbors in the Illinois National Guard, basically, that is somehow an invasion. That is a war declaration by the Trump administration. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line. And then Trump's post on Truth Social yesterday, which we mentioned during the show, that both BLM Brandon and Jelly Belly, BJ and JB, they both belong in prison for failing to provide for the security of federal law enforcement over the weekend, the stand-down order. That drew a response yesterday. Of course it did. Because, again, not just both Pritzker and Brandon Johnson, but all of these politicos in these sanctuary cities and sanctuary states believe that their path to political security is being hyperbolic in reaction to anything Trump says or does. disagreeing on principle. Doesn't matter what the issue is. And not only disagreeing, but of course, you have to make with the overheated rhetoric. Would-be dictator, tyrant, authoritarianism, autocracy, end of our democracy, convicted felon. We got a little bit from that from JB. And JB had his moment. I mean, he's been rehearsing this for a long time. And I think you'll agree with me that he stuck the landing. When asked about that Truth Social post and Trump saying Pritzker should also be in prison with his buddy BJ, Pritzker turned to camera. His debut on MSNBC, not really in the sense he's never been on MSNBC before, but this more of a coming out party. This was his moment that will be featured in commercials when he runs for president, so he envisions. Turn to camera, say it right to his face in front of the American people, or at least the 14 of them watching MSNBC.
Well, let's start with the idea that this is a convicted felon. I mean, think about that, who's threatening to jail me. I got to say, this guy's unhinged. He's insecure. He's a wannabe dictator. And there's one thing I really want to say to Donald Trump. If you come for my people, you come through me. So come and get me.
Come and get me, big boy. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line and text line. Very reminiscent of Jesse Jackson Jr., who's on my mind because he's running for office again. Jesse Jackson Jr. famously challenging Pat Fitzgerald to bring it on in terms of investigation that led to a prosecution that led to the end of his congressional career and the beginning of a 18-month prison term, you'll recall. Bring it on. So there it is. You want my people? You got to go through me. You want to put me in prison? Come and get me. Oh, by the way, who are his peeps again? In case you need a refresher. In Ohio, the Marion County Grand Jury has indicted a 53-year-old Chinese national in the country illegally on multiple charges related to a human trafficking ring operating out of a Chinese spa. The deets on that. Do we? Oh, I don't think. I thought. Do we have that? Do we have that audio? No. Okay. He's out of Chicago. He was trafficking women across state lines. They caught up to him in Ohio, but he was operating out of here. Crimes involve moving victims from Illinois to Ohio, which also highlights the need for federal law enforcement over the top, but I digress. Bill in LaSalle County, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Two things, Dan. You need to start including Democratic Senator candidate Raja with the rhetoric, because all his TV commercials are doing nothing but educating the stupid Illinois voters. And the second thing is, does ICE, the FBI, and them have a pair of handcuffs or a paddy wagon big enough for JB?
Hi-yo, thanks for the call, Bill. And look, if you take JB away, it's just next man up. Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, running against Raja for the seat that Durbin is vacating, had this to say to back her governor's play.
Listen, if Donald Trump thinks that by arresting Governor J.B. Pritzker that this fight is over, he is sorely mistaken, because he's going to have to come through me next, and I'm going to pick up right where J.B. left off. Illinois stands united in fighting back against Donald Trump's power grab.
You go through JB, then you got Juliana. And after that, you got, Kwame. And after that, you got to go through Ali G. And after that, you got to go through Susana Mendoza. And after that, you got to go through Michael Frericks. Does anybody even actually know who he is? He's the state treasurer. And after that, you got to go through, I don't know, Chris Welch. And after that, you got to go to Oak Park Country Club and go through Don Harmon. And after that, I think you get it. Everybody's a big, tough guy beating their chests in the direction of President Trump. Come and get him. Lewis, Southside.
It's time to change the narrative. The way you do that is called a humanitarian commutation. Free Jeff Ford, just like he freed, what's his name, Hoover. And that'll, both of them are from Chicago. That'll put pressure on Brandon Johnson. That'll put pressure on J.B. Pritzker. What will they do now? Because the community is split. The black vote is split on Larry Hoover and Jeff Ford.
Let's see. So we're going to put the El Rukins back in charge, and that's going to somehow make things better. Why Jeff Ford? Why is he important?
Why Jeff Ford? Because then what happened? Well, both of them, both of them are too old to do anything,
well then, why do I care about senior citizen gangbangers?
Why do you care about them?
Yeah,
because that's what the black vote is. The black vote is behind them. You can split the black vote, and that way, J.B. Pritzker, he won't have the black vote, and Brandon Johnson won't have the black vote because the black vote is split on Larry Hoover and Jeff Ford as far as being freed. Some want him freed, and some of them don't.
How many? What percentage of black residents of Chicago under the age of 50, they may have heard of Jeff Ford or Larry Hoover, care about them? How it impacts their vote or how they see the world?
They are like revolutionaries to them, just like that lady who just died in Cuba,
Taj Shakur or whatever. And how many people knew who she was?
How many people who knew?
Yeah, I'd say same percent. Like what the alleged impact of these people. I don't know, Lewis. I just there are things I won't do to try to appeal to a particular constituency. First of all, I think it's a little patronizing, frankly. Secondly, if freeing or not freeing gangbangers or cop killers in the case of Shakur is something that you decides your vote. I mean, if freeing them decides your vote, then I'm actually not that interested in your vote. How's that?
They have a saying. What is it? One man's killer is another man's hero.
Yeah. Well, get better heroes. If Jeff Ford or Larry Hoover are your heroes, get better heroes. How's that? I mean, you could have whatever hero you want. Doesn't mean I have to agree with you, much less cater to you. Look, if we can't operate on the level, the substance of these quality of life issues and the rule of law and appeal to people across the racial spectrum on that level, then we have much bigger problems. I mean, and I'm just, like Trump panders too much on this topic for my taste as well. But not obviously not nearly as much as the identitarian left. But I mean, that's just so that may on the margins, you may be right. I actually don't know. But more importantly, I don't care because I don't want to appeal to people on that basis. I find it distasteful and ultimately unproductive. There's it speaks to a larger cultural problem that anybody would worry about the fate of Larry Hoover or Jeff Ford or Atta Shakur. Ron and Sycamore.
Dan, J.B. Pritzker didn't turn to the camera. He rolled over to it.
Hi-yo. Very good, Ron. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, there's big moment for the big guy. He thinks. Be very interesting to see how this plays out medium term. I said yesterday, he obviously believes, and I'm sure he has polling data that suggests he's right, that this is the play. As unpersuasive as his tough guy act is, that just, continuing to be perceived as standing up to Trump or in this battle with Trump and pushing back on Trump and invoking Nazism, comparing him to, the world's worst murderous dictators of the last century and a half and so forth, that this is in his political interest to do so. It's a funny thing about that, though. It can boomerang on you. I know he has escaped accountability for his disastrous 2 terms as governor to this point. But these are the kind of things where there's sort of broad public safety interest, including among some of his erstwhile constituencies, minority voters in particular, that it can boomerang on him. Mike in Woodridge.
Dan, not everybody likes a smart ass, but you're a smart ass. Nice job with Lewis. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. I did mention Jesse Jr. Just to fold this in, getting everybody together again. So, Robin Kelly, she is a congresswoman. She's also in that Senate race for the seat that Durbin is vacating. So it's Robin Kelly, it's Raja, it's Juliana Stratton, who's got JB's back. Darn tootin'. Jesse Jr. is back, and boy, I haven't seen him in a while. He got a bit of a new look. He apparently found my great aunt's glasses, and he's wearing them. I don't know if there's some transition going on or what, but he's got the same old rap. He'd run for Congress. He wants his the seat that he used to hold back, and he's got all of his Michael Jackson and Bruce Lee memorabilia in tow, of course. But he's not doing it for him. They never are. They're doing it for you.
I'm running to serve.
Of course he is.
I've only asked the people of the 2nd Congressional District to allow me to finish what I began for them, including opening up a gateway to the global economy that will change the course of their lives.
Is he talking about Piatone Airport? Somebody hasn't updated their act.
So I've listened carefully. I've weighed the costs. I've weighed the pros, the cons, for such a time as this.
And spoiler alert, he is the man for such a time as this. Just as Jelly Belly is, Juliana, they're all the men and women for just such a time as this. How do we know? Because they tell us. That's how.
In the final analysis, when it's all said and done, when the great political battles are over, we are going to turn to each other and not on each other as Americans if this nation is going to work. And I'd like to play some role in making that possible.
Exactly. And if you don't agree with me, you're a Nazi. That's the message. We need to unite, we need to do everything together. We need to unite. We need to understand and have empathy for one another. And if you don't do it my way, you're a Nazi. Got it. George in Naperville.
Yeah, Jesse and Brandon going to have the battle of the gift rooms with all the stuff they acquire through their positions.
I prefer the term graft room. I will also take grift room, but not gift room. Corey Woodlawn.
These guys are back. I'm glad he's back just so we can start talking about J.B. Pritzker on that tape with him. Please bring this guy back. So a lot of people forgot about J.B. Pritzker trying to purchase a seat. So bring Jesse Jackson Jr. back so we can all start talking about that FBI tape again. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the call, Corey. Yeah. I mean, it's like, how about Rod have figure out an office to run for, too? So, I mean, we can bring that, the conversation between Jelly Belly and Rod when Jelly Belly was looking for, as you say, a political office to purchase to imbue some meaning into his life. Good times. And look how well it's worked for all of us. David Winnetka.
Hey, good morning, Dad. This Pritzker thing on TV reminded me of an old Honeymooners episode when Jackie went on a game show, and he turns profile to look at the camera, and later on Alice's mother came over and said, hey, tell Sonny to don't turn profile to look at the camera, because when he does, he's the biggest thing on TV. So later Jackie gets home, and he's like, well, your mom saw the episode. What did she say? And Alice goes, she said you were the biggest thing on TV.
Yeah, right. Very good. Thanks for the call, David.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hello, this is Alistair Begg. In September of 2026, I'll be teaching the Bible as we cruise through the Norwegian fjords. I'd love for you to join me. Call 855-565-5519 or visit deeperfaithcruise.com.
Sean Thompson here, and I'm with attorney Bert Hochberg from the law firm of Schiller, Ducanto, and Fleck. We're talking about divorce arbitration. This is not really a new, or is it a new, innovative way to go through divorce?
Arbitration has been around for decades. It's completely legit and available to resolve divorce cases. The litigants and their lawyers sign an arbitration agreement. They identify what the issues are, and we set up dates, and we determine what experts and witnesses there may be. Arbitration is a hearing, a trial that is intended to finish a case efficiently with limited appeal, with a binding decision, and it's confidential, so it has some great characteristics.
I think it's a unique alternative to divorce. For more information, please visit sdflaw.com and type Bert Hochberg into the search box. That's sdflaw.com or call direct 773-255-6150.
You need to be tuning into the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, the radio companion to the Amazon best-selling book, Success Blueprint, How to Build the Retirement You Deserve. Each week, Michael shares strategies designed to help reduce market risk through income-generating investments that can provide steady returns. Because if you can avoid a big loss, you don't need to take big risks. Catch the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, Saturday mornings at 10, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
If you or someone you love are getting high quotes for dental implants, visit almostfreeteeth.com today. With a medical PPO insurance plan, it's possible to save 90% off on average to be able to smile again. Check if you qualify now at almostfreeteeth.com.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Xumo Play.
AM 560, The Answer.
Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me, which side are you on? Which side are you on? We'll fight against George. We'll fight Elon Musk. No Elon's kept within our walls. We'll fight from dawn to dusk. Oh, which side are you on?
That's a little shout out to all those federal workers out protesting yesterday. Seems like the heady days of Doge, doesn't it? Coming up at 6:06. The Pacific Palisades arsonist who was arrested turns out to be a Biden donor. What a surprise. Leftist violence, 6:06. It's now 6 a.m. Chicago's Morning Answer, WIND Chicago.
This is a Fox News alert. It's a peaceful day in the Middle East. I'm Dave Anthony.
The real key is President Trump. He's the one that made this happen.
U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee on Fox after Israel and Hamas agreed to phase one of the ceasefire plan for Gaza.
If something goes sideways, it's going to be a surprise to everyone because this right now looks like a done deal.
And the president tells Fox's Hannity.
The big thing is hostages are going to be released. It's probably our time would be probably Monday.
And the families of the hostages put out a video.
We will not stop fighting until we see the last of the 48 return to their family. Those who were murdered in captivity, buried in the land of Israel, those who are still alive, walking through the border.
And Fox's Steve Harrigan reports from Tel Aviv.
Only then will the Palestinian prisoners, 250 of them serving life terms, be released. Challenges still remain in the longer term. Israel wants Hamas to disarm. Israel wants to make sure Hamas will play no role in a future government of Gaza. Those points still to be worked out, but President Trump invited to address the Knesset Sunday.
That's the Israeli parliament. No confirmation yet from the White House that the president plans to go there. The funding fight continues in Congress, so the government is shut down for a 9th straight day. And while hundreds of thousands of federal workers remain off the job, those deemed essential still have to go but won't get paid till there's funding.
And so my message to the air traffic controllers who work for DOT is show up for work. You have a job to do.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, air traffic controller sickouts have delayed thousands of flights since Monday and another 500 plus this morning. 2 Pennsylvania state troopers are in the hospital recovering after a shooting following a chase on a highway after a burglary. The suspect who shot at them was killed in return fire. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 49 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. Despite challenges from Democratic leaders in Chicago, the Texas National Guard is now on the ground here and awaiting orders as President Trump continues what he claims is a push to stop violent crime. Fox's Garrett Tenney has more from Broadview.
In the next few days, we are expecting National Guard troops to take over securing this ICE facility that has become a top target for activists over the past month since Operation Midway Blitz began. But right now, you can see some of the 200 Texas National Guard troops that are outside an Army Reserve training center about 50 miles southwest of Chicago, preparing to deploy to the Windy City. State leaders are still trying to block that move, though, and have filed a lawsuit arguing there is no emergency here and that the deployment is unconstitutional. Just this past weekend, federal agents came under attack while carrying out their mission, and a gang leader is now facing federal charges for putting out a bounty for the killing or capture of Border Patrol Commander Greg Bavino.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson argues that it's the White House who's responsible for the rise in violence, and he and the governor are calling the deployment illegal. Meanwhile, President Trump is posting on Truth Social that Mayor Johnson and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker should, quote, be in jail for failing to protect ICE officers. And the federal government shutdown has entered into its second week, and already shortages of air traffic controllers have strained operations and disrupted flights at some U.S. airports, including O'Hare right here in Chicago. Authorities say the situation may get worse if the shutdown continues and employees start to miss their paychecks. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross, Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, happening on Saturday, November 8th at Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, along with Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out fast, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Nauman and Associates, Scott Tucker Solutions Incorporated, and by Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication on your accounts, report phishing, and update your software on all your devices. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock not only alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information, but also fixes identity theft, guaranteed, or your money back. So stay smart, stay safe, and stay protected with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use the promo code BECK. Terms do apply.
You ever wonder why Verizon charges twice as much as Pure Talk for the same basic service? Think it might have something to do with the fact that Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion? That's billion with a B. Yeah, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. That's why they can offer unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Save an additional 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say the words micro. That's pound 250. Micro.
Sean Thompson here, and I'm with attorney Bert Hochberg from the law firm of Schiller, Ducanto, and Fleck. We're talking about divorce arbitration. This is not really a new, or is it a new, innovative way to go through divorce?
Arbitration has been around for decades. It's completely legit and available to resolve divorce cases. The litigants and their lawyers sign an arbitration agreement. They identify what the issues are, and we set up dates, and we determine what experts and witnesses there may be. Arbitration is a hearing, a trial that is intended to finish a case efficiently with limited appeal, with a binding decision, and it's confidential, so it has some great characteristics.
I think it's a unique alternative to divorce. For more information, please visit sdflaw.com and type Bert Hochberg into the search box. That's sdflaw.com or call direct 773-255-6150.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. We're a little bit slow in the Bishop Ford inbound between the Tri-State and 159th Street, all because of a collision. It's off on the right shoulder, and the Eden looks great both ways, no delays. The inbound Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange, not too bad at all, 17 minutes. Outbound is 30. The Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office is 14 minutes. Outbound is 15. Looking good on the Stevenson in both directions. From the Tri-State to Lakeshore, inbound is 20, outbound is 15, and the Dan Ryan, no problems to tell you about from 95th to the Burn Interchange. Inbound is 15, outbound is 10. A little bit slow on Lakeshore Drive northbound as you approach Hollywood Avenue, and then on the north side in West Ridge on Rockwell Street, that is closed both ways between Lunt Avenue and Greenleaf Avenue with police activity. This report is a service of Fox Valley Coins. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now I check with your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will bring abundant sunshine with a high of 65. Tonight, expect mainly clear skies with a low of 48. Tomorrow, we'll start with some sun before turning cloudy, reaching a high of 69. Saturday looks to have plenty of sunshine with a high of 67. Sunday will be partly sunny with a high of 69. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Stephen Miller commenting on the combined record of JB and BJ in Illinois and Chicago when it comes to public safety. He had this to say.
What's the Pritzker record? What's the Mayor Johnson record? Bloodbath, suffering, death, misery. You know, in just one weekend, you had over 70 people shot. 70 people shot in gun battles on the streets of Chicago. More dangerous than Mexico City, more dangerous than Baghdad, Iraq. And this is an American town. Donald Trump stands for peace. They stand for violence and death. It has to stop.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Well, it's not 70 people shot every weekend, just sometimes. That's the record. And somehow, particularly JB, gets to walk away from any responsibility for a record that fits that description. And for the characterization, I'm just going to stay on this. The characterization of federal law enforcement as terrorists, as racists, as thugs, Thugs is, I think, the most complimentary term he's used to date. And what happens? Chicago man faces federal assault charges for throwing rocks at Border Patrol vehicle. After being arrested and placed in the agent's SUV, he tried to set off their tear gas supply with his feet. Saving our democracy, that guy. Trying to. This on the heels of a man with 200 explosives who was arrested outside Catholic Church in D.C. just hours before Supreme Court justices were to attend Mass there. 8 counts of bringing 200 homemade explosives to a Catholic church in D.C. We find that this individual had expressed distaste for the Supreme Court and for ICE. But bringing in the National Guard to secure the Broadview facility and to provide for the safety of federal law enforcement as they conduct their duties, because the Chicago police may or may not. That's an invasion, and that's declaring war on Chicago and Illinois. Who's really waging war against the law-abiding in this city and state? Who really is? And it's not just with respect to people in this country illegally in Chicago and Illinois. I mean, and it is, let's not forget, we operate under the no cash bail, the Pritzker Purge Law. And we're not the only ones. New York does as well, not as expansive as the Illinois Purge Law, but still impactful. Another case out of New York. This 60-some-year-old gentleman, Nicola Tanzi, beaten to death in downtown Brooklyn. We have these stories all the time in Chicago as well. We have a rash of women being sucker punched on the streets of Chicago, downtown Chicago. Police looking for a man who randomly punched a woman on a busy downtown Chicago street Monday morning, what appears to be the latest in a growing string of unprovoked attacks. Oh. Mm-hmm. Because we have people like this guy in New York roaming the streets of Chicago, and Chicagoland too, for you suburbanites who think you're removed from all this. This 25-year-old charged with the murder of that 64-year-old gentleman beat him to death with his hands, beat him about the head and neck area, and then stomped on his head up to 15 times, according to reports, fracturing his skull and killing him. What did he do? He held the subway door for him. The guy who was murdered held the subway door for the murderer, and he responded with an attack that I just described. This individual has been arrested at least 33 times. He's 25 years old. Mm-hmm. The story out of Kentucky, I've been trying to get to all week. The Tiptons. This is a brutal one. Logan Tipton is a 6-year-old boy who was murdered by a guy who broke into the Tiptons' home, attacked the entire family, and stabbed the 6-year-old so violently in the head back in 2015 that the butcher's knife he used to kill the 6-year-old was bent. Here's Dad on what occurred. Why is this in the news? Because he's out.
I held him so deep in my arms, and finally he just He took his last breath, looked at me, and closed his eyes, and he was gone.
Ronald Exantis traveled from Indianapolis to Versailles, walked into the Tiptons' home, and attacked the family in their sleep. Logan was killed, and his father and 2 sisters were injured.
He snaps, and he just stands up with me sitting on top of him, and he throws me across the room. 10, 15 feet, he throws me across the room and goes after her.
3 years later, in 2018, Exantis was found not guilty of murder by reason of insanity, but convicted of assaulting other family members. And just this month, October 1st, Exantis was released early from prison for good behavior.
Now he's sane, apparently. By the way, the White House said earlier this week that they are looking into the release of this guy. So it has gotten the Trump administration's attention because it is so outrageous. Logan's mom and sister.
It's infuriating that a 6-year-old was killed sleeping in his bed, and someone literally only did 10 years in prison, and he didn't even do the time for that. He did time for assault charges. It's just infuriating.
But the family says it isn't just anger they're living with. It's fear.
Me and my siblings and even my mom and dad, from here on out, we have the burden of making sure that he doesn't come back.
Back to Dad.
He told her he was going to kill every one of us. So now I've got to be on extra guard to protect my kids because I will not lose another one. Not like this. I laid in bed. I gave up. I gave up on life. I gave up on my family. I gave up on everybody. I just wanted to die. I've had my talks with God because I'm not afraid to tell you all. I told the court, if I ever cross paths with him, I will kill the man. I will kill him where he stands.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Greg in Rogers Park.
Morning, Dan. Dan, there was 2 women, one in DuPage County, Deb Conroy, and in Cook County, Tony Preikwinkle. Both those women quietly undermine our safety, our tax system, our finances. They are pro-abortion. They are some of the most rottenest, nastiest people, and they work behind the scenes to create an atmosphere of putting rotten judges, prosecutors, and overall policy that has just destroyed our counties. And Deb Conroy needs to be exposed more because she is a really rotten person in my mind. And I don't mean to be too mean, but I'm just being honest. And Preikwinkle, I can't wait till she gets out because she is going to be one of the most evilest people around.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Greg. And speaking of DuPage County, I know Tara Costa Howard, who is a just rank base Rawful, rich, angry, white leftist. Rich, angry, white, female leftist, Rawful. She's, I saw that she's been minted as a new judge in DuPage County, leaving her state legislative seat to be a judge. Wonderful. And the hits keep on coming until people want to stop taking them. Michael, Southside.
Dan, good morning, and thank you for taking my call. 2 quick points. You called it some time ago when you said that Brandon Johnson is, in fact, a true believer. He's actually scary radical left. And number 2, it's really discouraging and disheartening to realize that Governor Pritzker and Brandon Johnson care more about criminals and illegal immigrants than hardworking Americans. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Michael. The entire party does. And it's everywhere. That's why I tried to bring these stories from all over the country, try to give you scope on this. It is that party. Columbia, South Carolina. Oh, South Carolina, that's conservative. Illegal immigrant who killed a University of South Carolina student in a hit and run gets a year. He killed a kid. He's here illegally from El Salvador, been on the run from ICE since 2018. The fatal hit and run crash that he committed carries a sentence of up to 25 years. He got a year for killing this 21-year-old kid and leaving the scene. So you have this political inspired violence. By the way, this frog, this 29-year-old frog, he was born in France, who was arrested yesterday for allegedly igniting the Palisades fire. He donated a couple of bucks, literally a couple of bucks, to Joe Biden. He's posts all kinds of dystopian stuff on his, on the internet, burning forests and a crowd of people sprinting from a fire, sort of foreshadowing. 12 people killed, 7,000 homes and buildings burned to ash, about $150 billion in damages. And this guy clearly was another one of these sort of maudlin, dystopian, nihilistic leftists. If they're not burning down the Palisades, they're plotting to assassinate politicians. They are assassinating people with whom they disagree with politically. They're running cover for people in this country illegally, victimizing people who are U.S. citizens, as well as other people who are here illegally, but didn't deserve to die, like that ICE shooter in Dallas, another leftist. And they're opening the jailhouse doors and the nut house doors to people with demonstrated violent tendencies. Do we need to hear from Logan Federico's dad again? I think we do. I actually think you can't hear from him enough. Unfortunately, we don't have enough people like Logan Federico's dad, like Katie Abraham's dad, Joe, that are willing to be relentless in pursuit of justice in the name of their dead children, so as to prevent more dead children. Prevent the next 6-year-old from being stabbed in the head, like Logan Tipton.
How many of y'all have kids? I'm just curious. Here's what I need you to do. When I tell you this story, think about your kids. Think about your child coming home from a night out with their friends, laying down, going to sleep, feeling somebody come in the room and wake them, and drag her out of bed, naked, forced on her knees, with her hands over her head, begging for her life, begging for her hero, her father, me, that couldn't be there. She was 5'3". She weighed 115 pounds. Bang! Dead. Gone. Why? Because Alexander Devontae Dickey, who was arrested 39 times, 25 felonies, was on the street. How about that? How good are we doing for our family? How good are you doing for your kids? He should have been in jail for over 140 years for all the crimes he committed. You know how much time he spent in prison? A little over 600 days in 10 years. He's only 30 years old. He was committing 2.65 crimes a year since he was 15 years old. But nobody could figure out that he couldn't be rehabilitated. Well, you'd have to put him in prison to see if he could be rehabilitated. Isn't that the idea of prison? But no, My daughter wanted to be a teacher. She finally figured it out 2 weeks before she was executed. How pathetic is that? That we're letting our 22-year-old kid visiting friends. It's all she ever wanted to do was visit friends. And she literally was executed while on her knees begging for her life. Her name's Logan Federico, not Irina. And you will not forget her. I promise you. You will be sick and tired of my face and my voice until this gets fixed. I will fight until my last breath for my daughter. You need to fight for the rest of our children, the rest of the innocents, and stop protecting the people that keep taking them from us. Please.
Yeah, and the reason, of course, he had to say her name is Logan, not Irina, is because a congresswoman from North Carolina, in this hearing where he was addressing congresswomen, misidentified his daughter as Irina, the young lady from Ukraine who was brutally murdered on that train in Charlotte by another repeat offender who had no business being on the streets. This is that party. It's that party as it exists in enclaves in red states and as it exists in places where they dominate, like blue states. Foreign and domestic. Doesn't much matter to them. Except they want more foreign to add to the domestic to ensure they have a constituency that returns them to power. Again and again. Ken in Lake Geneva.
I just wanted to call. I tuned in and heard what you're doing. I always love your show, but I wanted to share with your listeners that the reason I'm in Lake Geneva is because my daughter, who I spent my entire life raising as a good parent, sacrificing and setting her up so she could have a professional career, which she was doing great in and is doing great in. She got assaulted in downtown Chicago by a repeat offender at 9 o'clock at night, walking her dog, doing innocent things because of the people. I can't even call them people, the animals that they have running Chicago and Springfield. The animal that has a sister that could pump the man in the rear. And I just wanted to let people in Chicago know that they're, number one, they're idiots for continuing to vote these people in. And number two, I don't think they are voting them in. I think there's criminal activity going there. But I would just suggest to everybody to do a couple things. Number one, encourage ICE, encourage the National Guard, and encourage the military to come into Illinois, sweep it out, starting at the governor and at the mayor of Chicago, and keep sweeping. It is an embarrassment, and it's an assault on humanity. I will never, ever go back to the city of Chicago unless it's just to have payback for the people who allowed the crimes to take place. That party is a sick party, and I wanted to call in and share it because this is real. I felt it in our family, and we're seeing it coming all over to Geneva, St. Charles. It's all over the state. The state's run by a bunch of sick people.
What happened? Ken, thanks for that. What happened to the man who assaulted your daughter?
Yeah. I wanted to thank you. At the first hearing, he got sentenced to 4.5 years. That's in Chicago, where they let everybody go. That just gives you an idea of what kind of activities are taking place when, even in Chicago, the thugs who run the courts in Chicago and the thugs who are part of a mafia of Chicago found that what he was doing was so egregious that they locked him up for 4.5 years at the first court date.
Do you know how many times
to sicken a human being?
Do you know how many times how many times he was arrested and convicted of crimes? Do you remember?
I don't, but I can tell you this. I personally called the sergeant. I personally called the people in the corrections facility. And I personally called the people. Illinois prides itself on having victims get lots of psychological treatment. So maybe it's a jobs program for psychologists to try to convince men that they're women and women that they're men and all that kind of crap. But they pride themselves on having a psychological program. They certainly don't pride themselves on preventing crime. I don't know about this guy. And in my heart, I pray for him because, and it's hard to do that, but I do because I really think society dropped the ball. There's no place for him to go. So I think that guy wanted to get back into prison just to get a meal and a place to sleep. I'm lucky. My daughter got away from the guy that night, but then 2 hours later, he went on to assault somebody else much worse.
Jeez.
So she was called in to identify him.
Well, glad your daughter's okay.
It's happening every day. Yeah, thank you. It's happening every day. That was in the Gold Coast in Chicago. There's no safe zones at all. No safe zones whatsoever. And there's no safe time of day in the city of Chicago.
Thanks for the call, Ken. Joe Schomburg.
Hey, how are you, Dan? It's great to hear. Thanks for letting me on. I just want to ask, what's your perspective on where did it all go wrong? Like, where intersection where the Democrats just came off the grid and came up with all these just completely insane ideas and invited all these people to their platform.
Oh, sorry, Joe, you're cutting out, but I got your question. Where did it all veer off, boy? I mean, I would say the full embrace of identity politics, sort of in general. But I mean, of course, that is a big question that requires a lot bigger answer. We'll try to get to a little bit later on the show because we're up against it at 6:36. We're going to be talking to Dominic Green about the prospect of peace in the Middle East and a return of the hostages. And maybe a Nobel Peace Prize for President Trump. Argentinian President Javier Milei thinks he deserves one. Dominic Green at 6:36. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 49 degrees in Chicago on AM 560. The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche visited federal officers in Chicago who claim they're facing an increase in threats and attacks. The Deputy Attorney General joins Fox and Friends after the Justice Department charged an alleged gang member in a murder-for-hire plot targeting a Border Patrol official, criticizing demonstrators who speak out against mass deportations.
This is not a peaceful protest, and when those words are used, it's a shameful. Because what we have going on right now is literally domestic terrorism in Chicago.
Illinois Democratic Governor J.B. Pritzker says immigration agents are using increasingly aggressive tactics and making the city into a war zone. He and the Chicago mayor are suing to have the National Guard removed from the city, calling the deployment an abuse of power by the president. News as a service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, that's 708-889-5600. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Larry Elder sees a major sticking point.
Democrats opposed it, asked for $1.5 trillion in additional spending, including health care for illegal aliens. Do you think I'm making this up? This is Maxine Waters.
But are Democrats demanding health care for illegal aliens?
Democrats are demanding health care for everybody.
Just in case there's any misunderstanding.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
MyPillow is excited to announce they're having their biggest 3-in-1 sale ever. With a limited edition product, a back-in-stock special, and a closeout deal you won't find anywhere else. MyPillow bed sheets only $29.88. Any color, any style, any size. Even kings. Regular $119.98, only $29.88. Once they're gone for good. My Towels are finally back in stock, but not for long. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And for the first and only time, get their limited edition premium My Pillows made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset. Queens $17.98. Kings only $19.98. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive free shipping plus $100 in free digital gifts. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
When the power goes out, life stops. Heat, AC, fridge, phones, all gone. But with a Generac home standby generator from True Power Generator Service, your home powers back on automatically, so you're never left in the dark. Book your consultation today at TruePowerGenerator.com. That's TruePowerGenerator.com. Plus, 560 listeners get a free 10-year extended warranty. Terms and conditions apply. Call for details. True Power Generator Service and Generac. It's not just a generator, it's a power move.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Xumo Play.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Still in good shape on the Eden both ways between Lake Cook and Montrose. 15 minutes inbound, outbound is 14. The Kennedy inbound from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange is 20 minutes, outbound 34. The Eisenhower starting to get a little bit slow. Inbound from Wolf to the Oak Post Office, 23 minutes, outbound is 18. The Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State to Lakeshore, not too bad, 24 minutes, outbound is 17. The Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange is 18 and outbound is 11. On the Bishop Ford inbound, we had a collision cleared right at 159th Street, so delays are starting to ease, but a little bit slow eastbound on the Jane Addams as you approach the ramp to the inbound Eisenhower, and we're still closed on the north side in West Ridge on Rockwell Street, both ways with police activity between Lunt Avenue and Greenleaf Avenue. This report is a service of Placeholder. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be sunny with a high of 65. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 48. Tomorrow, expect some sun followed by increasing clouds and a high of 69. Saturday will bring plenty of sunshine with a high of 67. Sunday will be partly sunny with a high of 69. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. The moral conscience of the left. Well, obviously, I'm talking about Greta Thunberg. When she's not saving the planet in toto, she is stopping quote-unquote genocidal wars, you know, by getting on a boat and trying to deliver a couple of bags of rice and a few rolls of toilet paper to Gaza. She had a lot to say earlier in the week about the situation in Gaza.
And I could talk for a very, very long time about our mistreatment and abuses in our imprisonment, trust me, but that is not the story. What happened here was that Israel, while continuing to worsen and escalate their genocide and mass destruction with genocidal intent, attempting to erase an entire population, an entire nation in front of our very eyes. What we are doing is the bare minimum. This genocide and other genocides are being enabled and fueled by our own governments, our institutions, our media and companies. It is our responsibility to end that complicity.
Powerful. She should think about running for mayor of New York City. It's bubbled up to Trump's level the other day. And, never resisting the opportunity to issue a rhetorical shot across the bow, Trump said this about young Greta.
She's just a troublemaker, she's no longer into the environment, now she's into this. She's a troublemaker. She has an anger management problem. I think she should see a doctor. She needs anger. If you ever watch her, she's a young person. She's so angry. She's so crazy. Now you can have her. She's just a troublemaker.
Yeah, maybe Katie Porter could recommend an anger management consultant for Greta. Greta fired back after that comment. Of course she did. She's got a itchy trigger finger. I heard Donald Trump once again has expressed his very flattering opinions on my character, and I appreciate his concerns for my mental health. To Trump, I would kindly receive any recommendations you might have to deal with these so-called anger management problems, since judging by your impressive track record, you seem to be suffering from them too. Boy, again, the moral conscious, one of the intellectual North Stars of the neo-Marxists in the West. Why don't you just go with I'm rubber and you're glue? I mean, it's just funny. It's funny it rises to this level. It's funny that she, like these socialist Spice Girls in Congress, have such profile in our culture and our politics. I mean, they are as ignorant as they are ill-tempered. And so just to fast forward, yesterday, Trump announcing on the substance of the matter, I'm very proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. This means all of the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed-upon line as the first steps toward a strong, durable, and everlasting peace. This is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, all surrounding nations, and the United States of America. And he went on to thank the mediators, the countries that served as mediators. Blessed are the peacemakers, quote unquote, said the president. So here's the deal. The deal is Israel signs the ceasefire and hostage deal today by noon. The 20 living hostages will be released within 72 hours. So that's essentially by Monday, possibly sooner. The bodies of the hostages who did not make it will be returned gradually. Israeli Defense Forces will hold a majority of Gaza until the last hostage is freed, then withdraw to a buffer zone. There's also about 2,000 prisoners on the Hamas side of the equation that are going to be released, but none of them were involved in the October 7th terrorist attack. Okay, that's a quick summary for some insight into all this. We're pleased to be joined by Dominic Green. He is columnist for the Washington Examiner, contributor to the Wall Street Journal, and fellow of the Royal Historical Society. Dominic, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hello, Dan. Thank you.
I mean, mainly I just did a little bit of a riff there on Greta so that you would have the opportunity to comment on Greta, too, because I wanted to get your keen observations about young Greta and what she represents in terms of the spoiled brat, temper tantrum-oriented left.
Well, we do say online, don't feed the troll. But in the case of Greta, we have created a monster. We've made a troll into some kind of international guru and moral sage who can lecture the President of the United States on anger management of all things. On the other hand, she is actually a serious phenomenon, because there appears to be thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of stupid young people all over the world perfectly prepared to believe all of this and prepared to act up in our streets. And it is striking that in the last few days, while there has been a winding down of fighting in Gaza and a move towards the negotiations and the announcement we've just heard, that at the same time they've been stepping up their campaign in the streets of the West. And whatever happens in the Middle East, we will still face that challenge to basic law, order, and decency. And the fact that she's literally making it up out of thin air doesn't make a difference. It's still a big domestic political problem. And it's notable that Donald Trump heard about the breakthrough in the negotiations while he was hearing Andy Ngo and others talking about Antifa's activities in Portland, for instance. There is a serious domestic problem here. And however ludicrous Greta is, and she is a ridiculous figure and a fraud, however much so, it's still an issue.
Yeah. Well, and it's an issue, in terms of targeting Jews is an issue on college campuses here. At synagogues in Manchester, what's going on in the UK and in Western Europe, where we've been talking about this for years, going back to the height of Islamist-inspired violence against Jews in Western Europe, and there seems to be a resurgence of that. I don't have the data to support that, but certainly rhetorically, there's a resurgence of it, and it is translating into violence, as in the case of that synagogue attack.
Yes, it is, and the numbers are quite clear. When Hamas launched the attack on Israel on October the 7th, 2023, that triggered a global campaign, not just against Jews everywhere, but also against the governments and, more broadly speaking, the peoples of every single Western democracy. The result is that the number of attacks on Jews and Jewish institutions reached record heights in the 6 months after October the 7th, and the first 6 months of 2025 in Britain were just under that. And the same goes for France. And the same, of course, goes to the United States. So this is a coordinated global campaign. And however good the news is out of Israel today, and it is good news, and it is an extraordinary achievement by President Trump in particular, however good that news is, we're going to face that kind of challenge. We have people who are committed to destruction, to overthrowing even the government of the United States and creating the same kind of hell on the streets of the West as we have seen in Israel and in Gaza.
Well, and, just to fold in other examples, this didn't get the attention, hasn't gotten the attention that it deserves, but between 2020 and 2024, basically like a year after the Dobbs decision overturning Roe v. Wade, there were more than 500 Catholic churches that were vandalized or attacked in the United States. And I know that was happening in Western Europe, too. Didn't get the attention. But this is the response from the left, the political violence as the means to political ends, whether it is on abortion, on climate, on a Palestinian state. The tools that are used are always the same, and they include violence.
They do, and for political leaders on the left, they have ridden the tiger for electoral reasons in the United States and elsewhere. And it's very hard to dismount. And that's precisely the position of the Democratic Party, which, after all, Kamala Harris in the summer of 2020, when rioting was going on, they're not going to stop and they shouldn't. That's what she said. People like Keir Starmer or Emmanuel Macron, when they recognize a Palestinian state and Hamas, call it a victory, this is encouraging the forces of disorder, and it's a cynical calculation. It's playing to the lowest elements of the base, but it's a disastrous one because they have basically committed themselves to the forces of destruction, and it's very hard to turn up dressed as a fireman if you've been an arsonist the day before.
Right. I've been referencing this formulation that I read in by Douglas Murray in a piece recently, because it has such applicability to everything going on in Chicago and Illinois, given our political leadership here, which is that they don't condemn and they don't condone. I mean, so they won't condone it formally, but they also won't condemn it. They're in this gray area, as he says, and that is purposeful, right? I don't want to wear the jacket for it because I know that will not be received well. I mean, some are dumb enough to formally wear the jacket for it, but most are sophisticated enough to understand that. I mean, I can't fully embrace that politically, but I'm going to avoid condemning it by instead just focusing attention on boogeymen that we've created, whether it's Trump or ICE or another boogeyman.
I think that's very true. And what that does also is it allows, it creates a structure for bringing in people who have been explicitly extremist by saying, that they can wear the suit now. And we're seeing exactly that in New York City with Zohran Mamdani. This is someone who celebrated the attacks of October the 7th and then puts out, increasingly mealy-mouthed, both-siding statements the closer he gets to power. That kind of person has no place running a great city. And the only reason he can go down this path that leads towards legitimacy and authority and genuine power over people's lives is if the grown-ups, as it were, do the thing of, as you're saying, not condemning and not condoning. And they have encouraged, of course, equally, to go from the sublime to the ridiculous, they've encouraged Greta Thunberg in exactly the same way.
We were talking a bit earlier in the week about the prospects in the UK, given the repudiation of the Conservatives and Sunak most recently, that gave the Brits Keir Starmer, and now the repudiation of Starmer and the increasing relevance of Nigel Farage, that there's been this sort of, since Brexit, this decade-long rebellion that sort of hasn't fully been realized, and one wonders if that's around the corner.
I believe that it is, and they don't have to call an election before late 2029. But such is the speed with which Starmer's government has hit the deck that I suspect it'll be much, much sooner. And if an election was held now, Nigel Farage and his Reform UK party would be the winners hugely. The Conservatives and Labour would both disappear. There's still a lot to play for in this. Farage has not yet built a party machine. He's a very charismatic, popular individual, and he has to turn that into that boring political machine in order for it to work. Meanwhile, the Conservatives have a machine but not much else, and you can't write them off because every few generations they reinvent themselves. And when you heard Kemi Badenoch, their leader, talking this week at their conference, she sounded very much like Farage, and you get the impression that they have finally got the message from the public. So what the details of what happens are not clear, but I would bet my shirt now on the next government being led by Farage, which is an astonishing thing because, a system like that is designed to prevent that happening. It's like Ralph Nader or something winning the U.S. presidency. Is not meant to happen. But it is happening because people have simply had enough. They're sick of it, of the government effectively cheating them on their taxes, leaving the borders open, exposing them to ridiculous and depraved crimes. It can't go on, and it won't.
Dominic Green, columnist for the Washington Examiner, contributor to the Wall Street Journal, and fellow of the Royal Historical Society. Dominic, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Dominic joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. I've always been a strong believer in precious metals investment, and I've always been fascinated with rare coin collecting. But owning the wrong coins that only make dealers a lot of money can be catastrophic for your investment portfolio. AmFed Coin and Bullion specializes in taking people out of non-performing coin portfolios and turning them into gold, silver, or platinum bullion. They tailor a portfolio based on your goals and not what they want to sell you. You'll never experience scare tactics, misleading hype, or high-pressure sales from owner Nick Grovich and his very knowledgeable staff. They will evaluate your portfolio, show you how your coins have performed, and take the time to educate you on the ugly industry practices so that you can make an informed decision. Smart people can make very bad investments when they're under pressure and lack the facts. Call 800 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com.
Honey, why does it take you so long to get ready?
Oh, because I've got one tiny sink. I'm trying to balance makeup on the back of the toilet, and the mirror's always fogged up.
Sounds like a circus act.
Exactly. And I perform every morning.
At Forever Remodeling, we create bathrooms that fit your life, not the other way around. From extra storage to spa-like showers and timeless finishes, we make your mornings easier. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com.
They took everything. Our equipment, our supplies, it's all gone.
It's devastating. Every order is going to be delayed for months, and our customers are going to find someone else.
I don't know if we'll ever recover from this. We're already getting calls from clients checking on their orders.
Who knows how long it will take to get back on our feet? What were we thinking not upgrading our security?
Don't let a break-in devastate your business. Protect yourself with Goldilocks. They'll create a customized security solution for you. From commercial doors with keyless entry to 24/7 alarm monitoring, they have you covered. Learn more at GoldilocksInc.com and have a security technician conduct an on-site assessment of your business. Plus, AM 560 listeners get their first 3 months of monitoring free with a new install. Call Goldilocks now. 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Goldilocks, Chicagoland's premier locksmith doors and security systems company since 1981.
Is the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians the revival of an ancient conflict recorded in the Bible?
The nation of Israel is a resurrected nation. So what if there was going to be a resurrection of another people, an enemy people of Israel? The Bible speaks about this whole war as a dragon representing the enemy attacking a woman representing Israel.
Dinesh D'Souza's new film, The Dragon's Prophecy, offers new understanding of October 7th, Israel, radical Islam, anti-Semitism, and biblical prophecy. Could the fate of the world, of humanity itself, be tied to this place?
We came back to a land that was largely barren and empty, and we brought it back to life, and we're going to keep it.
The dragon will not prevail.
The Dragon's Prophecy, based on Jonathan Cahn's international bestseller. Watch it now or buy the DVD at salemnow.com. That's salemnow.com.
Surprise! Your expenses this month were way higher than you expected! Also, you forgot to renew your website domain and now you're in a bidding war!
You should see the look on your face.
At Progressive, we know small business owners don't usually like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise that could save you money? Getting a commercial auto quote from Progressive.
Plus, the fridge died in the break room and now everything smells weird!
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication on your accounts, report phishing, and update your software on all your devices. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock not only alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information, but also fixes identity theft, guaranteed or your money back. So stay smart, stay safe, and stay protected with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use the promo code BECK. Terms do apply.
An informed and educated citizenry is the only guarantee to preserve our constitutional republic. And each week, you'll hear from experts, not pundits, and find out what's really happening, from local issues to national politics. Listen to The Real Story with Jeannie Ives. There's no topic of public policy concern that she won't talk about. Stop the lies. Learn the truth. Join the conversation. Sunday night at 7, right here on AM 560. The Answer. AM 560. The Answer.
Caller earlier in the hour asked, how did we veer off in this country? And just thinking about that, I thought about what Alexander Solzhenitsyn said about how the Soviet Union happened. What did he say? Simply, man forgot God. Which also reminded me of something Voddie Baucham, the dearly departed preacher Voddie Baucham, had to say about why he goes to war with the woke.
I go to war against this woke tyranny, number one, because there is a God who created the world, and he has spoken. And fallen man does not get to disagree with the God who has spoken. And I go to war against this woke tyranny because, number two, I love fallen men enough to tell them the truth. There is a God. He has spoken. He created man in his image, created him male and female. He gave us the beauty of the marital relationship as a living, breathing picture of the communion within the Godhead and of the relationship between Christ and his bride for whom he laid down.
Coming up at 7:07, Eric Trump. Eric Trump joins us 7:07. It's now 7 o'clock.
This is a Fox News alert. They're celebrating instead of fighting in Gaza. I'm Dave Anthony. That's the reaction to Israel and Hamas agreeing to a ceasefire plan that could end the 2-year war. They also were singing and dancing in Tel Aviv because a big part of the deal is the release of all the remaining hostages.
We are still waiting to get confirmation that Itai, one of the 2 remaining U.S. citizens, indeed will be taken care of and will be able to come out.
Unfortunately for Ruby Hen, his son is not among the 20 hostages believed still alive. He was killed in the October 7th attack 2 years ago. His body and the remains of 27 others still held by Hamas. President Trump says the plan is for all of the hostages to be out by Monday, and as Israel gets ready to implement the ceasefire, Fox's Peter Doocy reports from the White House.
The top 2 items on the 20-point peace plan. 1, make Gaza a terror-free zone. 2, redevelop Gaza. And the president's promise to work with partners in the region who have built mega cities in the Middle East in the last couple of years was a big driver of this.
2 Pennsylvania state troopers are in a hospital the morning after being shot.
The officers had responded to a call about a retail theft at a Dick's Sporting Goods store in Guilford Township, Pennsylvania. There was a car chase on Interstate 81, ending with the deployment of spike strips. 2 women in the suspect's car complied with troopers' commands and got out to be taken into custody. The man with them started shooting, hitting the 2 troopers before being shot and killed.
Fox's Chris Foster. The government shut down a 9th day in a row as Democrats keep insisting health care provisions be included in a funding bill not approved yet. Fox's Ryan Schmelz reports from the Capitol things are getting heated.
Republican Congressman Mike Lawler tried to get House Minority Leader and fellow New Yorker Hakeem Jeffries to sign onto his bill to extend the Affordable Care Act premium tax credits for 1 year. It turned into a heated exchange.
You're making a show of this to make yourself relevant.
It's sad. You could easily sign on.
America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It is 49 degrees in Chicago on AM 560. The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. The federal government shutdown has entered into its second week, and already shortages of air traffic controllers have strained operations and disrupted flights at some U.S. airports, including O'Hare here in Chicago. Now, that situation may well get worse if the shutdown continues and employees start to miss their paychecks. And there's no way to predict what airports might have problems on any given day. So officials say to be sure to check your flight status before you head to the airport. And if your flight is canceled, airlines should rebook you on a later flight. Now, if you no longer want to take that trip, you should be able to get a refund, but each airline's policies can differ, and airlines are not required to pay cash compensation, so make sure you check in with your airline. The Texas National Guard is now on the ground and awaiting orders here in Chicago as Democratic leaders speak out against the deployment of troops by the Trump administration. Fox's Garrett Tinney has more.
We are expecting National Guard troops to take over securing this ICE facility sometime this week, freeing up federal agents to focus on Operation Midway Blitz. So far, close to 1,500 illegal aliens have been arrested as part of that operation, and we are told that ICE still has several thousand more individuals on its target list. State and local officials are still trying to fight the White House on its immigration enforcement efforts. The judge is expected to rule on a temporary injunction that would block the Guard from being deployed.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson argues that President Trump isn't actually concerned with the safety of the city. Meanwhile, the president posted on Truth Social that the mayor and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker should be in jail for failing to protect ICE officers. News is a service of Air Right Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off any service, including inspections. Don't wait for a heat wave for that old air conditioner to break down. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560. The Answer.
Get
your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, happening on Saturday, November 8th at Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, along with Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out fast, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Aid for Women, Breakthrough Ideas, and by Attorney Stephen A. Leahy at Opum Tax Advocates.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication on your accounts, report phishing, and update your software on all your devices. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock not only alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information, but also fixes identity theft, guaranteed, or your money back. So stay smart, stay safe, and stay protected with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use the promo code BECK. Terms do apply.
You ever wonder why Verizon charges twice as much as Pure Talk for the same basic service? Think it might have something to do with the fact that Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion. That's billion with a B. Yeah, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. That's why they can offer unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Save an additional 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say the words Micro. That's pound 250. Micro.
When the power goes out, life stops. Heat, AC, fridge, phones, all gone. But with a Generac home standby generator from True Power Generator Service, your home powers back on automatically, so you're never left in the dark. Book your consultation today at TruePowerGenerator.com. That's TruePowerGenerator.com. Plus, 560 listeners get a free 10-year extended warranty. Terms and conditions apply. Call for details. True Power Generator Service and Generac. It's not just a generator, it's a power move.
Want to see if you could pay less in taxes? Try the quick and easy tax calculator at willsave.com. Yes, a free tax calculator. That's WILSAVE.com. Calculate how you could keep more of your hard-earned money and give less to Uncle Sam, especially in retirement. Get your free tax analysis today at willsave.com. And don't forget to tune in to Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman every Saturday morning at 8, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Still in great shape both ways on the Eden, the Kennedy inbound from O'Hare to the Byrne Interchange. That's 26 minutes. Outbound is 34. The Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 28 minutes. Outbound 24. Inbound Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 33. Outbound is 22. And the Dan Ryan from 95th Street to the Byrne Interchange. Inbound is 25. Outbound still looking good at 11. We are stop and go northbound on the Tri-State between Reagan Memorial Tollway and the Eisenhower Expressway. This is all due to slow traffic on the ramp to get onto the outbound Eisenhower and eastbound delays on the Jane Addams. And that's because of slow traffic on the ramp to get onto the inbound Eisenhower. Northbound side of Lakeshore Drive is also very slow approaching Monroe Avenue. This report is a service of Turnkey. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be sunny with a high of 65. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 48. Tomorrow, expect some sun, followed by increasing clouds and a high of 69. Saturday will bring plenty of sunshine with a high of 67. Sunday will be partly sunny with a high of 69. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and it's been a spirited exchange between JB and BJ as a unit and President Trump all week, culminating with President Trump posting on Truth Social that perhaps both JB and BJ should become residents of the state for failing to provide for the safety of federal law enforcement operating in Chicago. Well, federal law enforcement is just getting the same treatment as residents of Chicago, which is the failure to provide for their safety. But his point is well taken, although it provided the moment that J.B. Pritzker has been waiting for. It provided his, all right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up Sunset Boulevard moment. And this was that.
Well, let's start with the idea that this is a convicted felon. I mean, think about that, who is threatening to jail me. I got to say, this guy's unhinged. He's insecure. He's a wannabe dictator. And there's one thing I really want to say to Donald Trump. If you come for my people, you come through me. So come and get me.
I think I might know somebody who can help with the coming to get J.B. Pritzker. He will do about as well in prison as Fresh Fish did in Shawshank. Eric Trump joins us now. He's the executive president of the Trump Organization, don't you know? He's got a new book. It's entitled Under Siege, My Family's Fight to Save Our Nation. Eric Trump, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Dan, it's great to be on, my friend.
So could you please send somebody to take J.B. Pritzker from us?
Listen, I'd love it. I love Chicago. I built our building there. I built Trump International Hotel there. I spent a lot of years in that city. I put my heart and soul into building something absolutely incredible. And to see the leadership over the last several years, I mean, it's nothing short of shocking how bad it's been. Yet the city's still been resilient and somehow managed to carry through. But against all odds, I don't understand it. I mean, we've seen this playbook before. I mean, first of all, in Chicago, we've seen it for 100 years, where bad leadership has literally just caused problem after problem, and crime has continued to go through the roof. I mean, you had 70 shootings last weekend, 70 bullets flew through the air in the middle of the city, hitting people, and these people don't want to do anything about it, and it's heartbreaking, and you wonder why. In Washington, D.C., my father had a mandate to go in and clean it up. They took 12 days. They arrested 1,700 people. And these are the career criminals. I mean, they all know who they are. The cops know exactly who they are. And by the way, your force in Chicago is great if they just took the handcuffs off them and let them do their job. They're amazing men and women. I truly love so many of them. And guess what? D.C. went from being, having 8-10 murders on an average weekend to having 0. And I just don't see why we can't do that in Chicago and what the fight is about. I mean, regardless of Republican, Democrat, I mean, these are kids. I mean, every weekend you have a mom that loses a son. You have a father that loses a daughter. You have a brother or sister that loses a sibling. What the hell is wrong with these people? Why won't they allow the streets to get cleaned up, stop the violence, stop the crime? We all want it. We all love Chicago. We're all on the same team. And I just don't know why, their policies are not working. If I was Pritzker, I would be embracing my father with open arms saying, please, help us. You use the resources and the budget of the federal government to help us. But yet, I think because they've done such a terrible job, maybe it's a slap in the face to these guys that they couldn't get it right, whereas Donald Trump could. And so it breaks my heart to see this foolishness. It's so counterproductive.
I think your father understands a lot of things, but one thing in particular is that, people don't really care so much about the process. They want an outcome. And of course, everyone wants to live in safety and in peace. And so sort of his statement yesterday upon the announcement of a pending deal in the Middle East to bring peace, blessed are the peacemakers. I mean, he is attempting to bring peace to the streets of cities that have endemic violence and to regions of the world that have had endemic violence. And I think that's going to ultimately be one of his most important legacies, and something that people are going to recognize, in the sense that, like, this is a guy trying to get us to a place we all want to be. And maybe I've got some disagreements. Maybe I don't like the National Guard. We could be a combination of local law enforcement and ICE or whatever it is. But in terms of he's sold them on the why. Like, I'm trying to bring peace. And then, people are open-minded about the sort of the what and the how if they believe in the why. And I think people believe in the why.
Sure. Listen, I agree with you. I mean, ideally, local law enforcement could take care of the problem. And by the way, local law enforcement could take care of the problem, absolutely. But, the problem is every single day, they're stripping immunity from law enforcement officers. They're charging them. Somebody has to make a split-second decision, and it's not perfect. and they persecute them and they prosecute them and they destroy their lives and they tell them to stand down at every instance, and they give them no incentive to go out there. And so you better believe that the Chicago PD could do this. I mean, they're incredible men and women, right? No different than the NYPD could fix New York in about 3 seconds, if they took the handcuffs off. And, and beyond that, if you had local judges that would actually, imprison people, when they do horrible, vile things, as opposed to, the bail reform laws and letting them out 3 seconds later where they become repeat offenders. Dan, we had a situation in New York not too long ago where there was a small protest, right? The guy came out, he punched a cop in the face, right? This is like a Maine sergeant. They arrest him. They bring him 3 blocks away to One Police Plaza, which is, downtown kind of headquarters. They let him out 15 minutes later. He goes back to the bridge where the protest was, goes to the same cop and punches him in the face again. I mean, what do you expect from these people? And that's what, that's what these silly policies are getting. And again, we adore Chicago. We have invested hundreds of millions of dollars in the city. I built that building. I love it. We employ hundreds and hundreds of people. It's one of the great cities anywhere in the world. And they're letting it get destroyed by crime and madness, and it has to stop.
Speaking of persecutions, how is the Trump organization after the travails under the previous administration and Letitia James's gambits to try to basically bankrupt the company? Where's the Trump organization today?
Well, I talk about it all in the book. I know you mentioned the intro, but, people are obviously speaking. We just went to #1 on Amazon, Under Siege, My Family's Fight to Save Our Nation. And, they did everything they could to destroy us. They tried to bankrupt us. They tried to deplatform us. They tried to debank us. They impeached my father twice. They made up the dirty dossier. You know all the details in there that were disgusting, paid for by Hillary Clinton. They claimed that we had secret servers in the basement of Trump Tower communicating with the Kremlin. It was all lies. They took us off of Instagram and Facebook. They released our tax returns. They literally, the IRS released my father's tax returns and all of our family's tax returns. They did everything they could to take us out, to kill us, to bankrupt us, and we've overturned every single one of those cases. We beat Letitia James. In fact, the appellate courts in New York just ruled 5-0, overturning her entire case. We beat the 91 felony indictments that they put against my father. They put us under siege. They wanted to take out our family. They wanted to take out my father. They wanted to take out, the entire Make America Great Again movement, and they failed dramatically. And, hence the reason, Dan, my father won the popular vote, and we won every swing state, and every state in the nation tacked to the right. We won places like Miami-Dade by 11 points that haven't been won by a Republican in 37 years. And so, we've never been better. Honestly, we've never been better. We've never been stronger. The mainstream media in this country is all but dead. Independent voices, your voice, and so many other independent voices are ruling the day. And the company is doing phenomenally well, and I'm incredibly proud of it. And
sort of where are you these days? I know you've got, obviously, the Trump Organization. You've got other business interests. Maybe we'll get to that, too. You're very heavily in the cryptocurrency market. But where are you in terms of the role that you play within the administration and with the president? What are the things that you like to do and where you and your dad work together?
Yeah, my role is being his best friend and his son and, his biggest advocate because I think the guy's doing a phenomenal job. But I run everything that's outside of Washington, D.C. I try and stay as far away from that city as humanly possible because I generally dislike politicians, including the Pritzkers of the world, because it doesn't make sense to me. My business mind can't comprehend how if somebody's trying to offer to help, you reject it and you don't. But no, I run every hotel, every golf course, every commercial building, residential building around the world. And you just mentioned crypto. Wow, what's been happening in the crypto environment, here in the U.S. and around the world is really amazing. It's the future of finance, and started a company called American Bitcoin, which I'm incredibly proud of. We just listed on the NASDAQ a few weeks ago and mining Bitcoin in the United States, right in West Texas. And, it's doing tremendously well. So we're doing great. We're doing great as a family, and we're doing great as a country. Well,
put your keep your business hat on for a minute, too, because you made sort of a bold prediction for Bitcoin. You predicted it's going to go to $1 million a coin. And you just mentioned, too, it's sort of crypto is America's financial future. Develop that a little bit more. What do you think happens?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Every day I'm a business guy. I try and sign a wire transfer out at 5:01 on a Friday afternoon, and it doesn't get there until, late Monday afternoon. That's not modern day finance. everybody listening to us probably has tried to apply for a loan for a home, or, they go through a 120-day process of know your customer, pushing paper forms with a bank that they've done business with for 25 years. At the end of it, half the time they're rejected. It doesn't make any sense. There's nothing that can't be done on blockchain better, quicker, faster, more transparently, and substantially cheaper. There's no reason that JP Morgan needs 90-story towers in every single city around the country full of tens of thousands of people. Everybody's paying for that. You're paying for that in loan origination fees. You're paying that, for that, and you're getting nickeled and dimed by your bank. Crypto is going to replace all of that, and there's no question about it. I mean, Bitcoin is digital gold, and all the others, Ethereum, is really the oil on which the entire system works. But there's no question that if we look back in 5 years, 10 years, the entire financial system of not just the United States, but of the world is going to operate very differently. It's going to operate quicker, faster, cheaper, and much more transparently. And I found it, Dan. I found it because we are the most debanked company, all because we decided to wear a hat that said "Make America Great Again." And so I believe in Bitcoin with every aspect of my heart and soul. And I believe in this financial revolution. It's coming. I see it. There's nothing I've ever been more passionate about.
What about the political system? I mean, of course, we had former FBI Director Jim Comey arraigned yesterday, pleading not guilty to perjury charges. Do you see, and what MAGA world wants? They want a reckoning for all those things you mentioned at the outset in terms of the targeting of your father and your family and his supporters and allies and so forth. Do you see a revolution coming before your father's time as president is done in terms of a reckoning and thus a resetting of what the guardrails are in politics, the ending of lawfare, or are we, going to see this continue to be propagated?
Lawfare is something that I am fundamentally 100% against. My father could have gone after Hillary Clinton in 2017. She deleted 33,000 emails under congressional subpoena. The Clinton Foundation, which was an absolute disaster, and he thought it'd be atrocious look to go after a former first lady, and just thought it would be absolutely wrong. And he got into office. It wasn't 12 minutes after his hand was on the Bible. On the 20th of January of 2017, that the Washington Post starts writing stories. This is when the impeachment of Donald Trump began. They didn't give him 3 seconds, Dan. They went after him so viciously, and that's what I talk about in Under Siege. That's why the book went to #1 instantly on Amazon. I mean, they did everything they could to destroy us. So I don't want legal lawfare. I want zero legal lawfare. But what I want accountability to the criminals that were in there. I want to know who leaked every tax return of my father, my family, and everybody in our company. I want to know why these people stormed into Mar-a-Lago and raided Melania's closet and raided Barron's room. That's what I want to know. I want to know why there's no accountability. When somebody makes up that, the Trump organization has secret servers in the basement of Trump Tower communicating with Russia. Give me a break. These were all lies. It was all slander. It was all criminal activity, right? They pulled my father off the ballot in Maine. They pulled him off the ballot in Colorado. Gag order after gag order, 91 indictments in sham cases that have every single one of them has been overturned. They tried to rip the Trump name off of every single building around the world. They tried to. I mean, they wanted us bankrupt. They wanted us in prison. They wanted us with no voice. And then when all of that failed, they tried to kill my father in Butler, right? I was watching with my 2 young kids on my lap when I saw a bullet rip through his ear. And then they tried to kill him again at his golf course. And then you saw what they just did to Charlie Kirk, where a good friend of mine, I'm watching blood come, spewing out the front of his neck. I want accountability to these maniacs. I don't want lawfare. I want the exact opposite of lawfare. I just want accountability for the criminal actions that have occurred under Joe Biden, all directed by Joe Biden and Merrick Garland.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of reestablishing the rule of law from, the streets to the halls of power. Absolutely. Eric Trump is the executive president of the Trump Organization. His book, Under Siege, My Family's Fight to Save Our Nation. Under Siege is the book. Eric Trump, the author. Eric, thanks so much for joining us, and continued success with the book and in business.
Great to be on, Dan. You guys take care.
Take care. And Eric joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Bob Chavato, owner of Go Exceed and a customer of Signature Bank. By leveraging AI and machine learning, we provide data management solutions for corporations to save time and money managing their cellular devices. While we rely on machines to help us run our business, we believe personal relationships are essential. This is why we chose Signature Bank. Having a banking partner who understands our background, our business, and our priorities is fundamental to our success. Any bank can provide basic services, but having a bank that you can trust, one that looks out for you and treats your business like its own, that's irreplaceable.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. You've heard me talk about Northridge Prep for years, but now I want you to hear from one of the recent graduates. His name is TJ Gorman. He just graduated second in his class in Marine Corps basic training. This is what he said about Northridge. I was blessed to attend Northridge, not only for the education, but for the values and principles my mentors instilled within me. The school taught us what it meant to be a leader and to lead through example, hard work, humility, and empathy. I thank God for Northridge. That's what makes Northridge Prep great for young men. The students are called to excellence to become true leaders, and these boys want to go to school each day. They love Northridge because they can be free to learn, to grow, and to be challenged. There's a real spirit of adventure on campus that you've just got to experience for yourself to fully appreciate it. For nearly 50 years, they've partnered with parents like no other school in the Chicagoland area. Today, in our nation, we need more Northridge graduates to lead the way as men of intellect and character who love God, guys like TJ Gorman, men who put their values first. They are having an open house. It is Sunday, October 19th at 1 p.m., and that's for boys in grades 6 through 12. You can register your son at northridgeprep.org. Again, the open house is Sunday, October 19th, 1 p.m., boys in grades 6 through 12, and you can register at northridgeprep.org.
Wow. At the time of this being written, both gold and silver are up some 40%. That's 40% in just 1 year. In fact, this past year, gold has broken all-time historic records by hundreds of dollars an ounce. And unlike all other financial instruments used today, that historic record goes back thousands of years. In times like these, prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins and bars, but also those old coin and paper money collections. They're especially looking for the scarcer dates and higher grade coins. Take advantage of the record high market price and our huge demand now, whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out their worth. Fox Valley Coins is the place to go. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just 1 light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
MyPillow is excited to announce they're having their biggest 3-in-1 sale ever with a limited edition product, a back-in-stock special, and a closeout deal you won't find anywhere else. MyPillow bed sheets only $29.88. Any color, any style, any size. Even kings, regular $119.98, only $29.88. Once they're gone for good. My Towels are finally back in stock, but not for long. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And for the first and only time, get their limited edition premium My Pillows made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset. Queens $17.98, Kings only $19.98. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive free shipping plus $100 in free digital gifts. So go to mypillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
AM 560. The Answer.
Time now for another reason why Dan Proft is single.
I mean, I can't even. Meet bride Tara. This is how she, Tara, the bride, addressed those in attendance at her wedding.
Alongside their demonization of trans people, our government and media is currently also complicit in a genocide. And I know some of you may think a wedding is not the time to think of this, but it frankly would not sit right with me to not take this opportunity when I have a platform to speak on this issue. Everyone should be able to have a day like today, and I don't mean with all this sort of thing. I mean a day surrounded by loved ones who wholeheartedly support us and our relationship with no judgment. We are in a relationship that is simultaneously celebrated by random strangers who find out we're engaged, but also is so mainstream that no one bats an eyelid if we were to walk down the street hand in hand. We are not ostracized by society for simply being who we are and loving who we love. Everyone should get to feel how that feels. Transgender people are being punished for simply being who they are, and we must speak up. We are losing hard-fought ground, and we simply cannot yield to hatred. Trans men are men, trans women are women, trans rights are fucking human rights.
Oh, excuse me.
Alongside their demonization of trans people, our government and media is currently also complicit in a genocide. And I know some of you may think a wedding is not the time to think of this, but it frankly would not sit right with me to not take this opportunity when I have a platform to speak on this issue.
Okay, now the chicken dance. I want a divorce. I can only imagine the sad sack that got married to that. Can you imagine? I mean, this is why I don't go to weddings. One of the many reasons. And now I'm going to use this as another cover story in the unlikely event I'm ever invited to one, much less a participant. Coming up at 7:37, and we turn our attention back to matters of federal immigration law enforcement. Todd Lyons, the acting ICE director, joins us. We'll ask him about the stand-down order this weekend and the situation in Chicago, of course. Todd Lyons, acting ICE director, 7:37. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 49 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. More National Guard troops are on the way here in Chicago after troops from Texas arrived in the area earlier this week. President Trump authorized that deployment in order to protect federal agents amid immigration enforcement operations. On Fox's Hannity, FBI Director Kash Patel said that he's restoring the federal government's crime-fighting mandate.
We have organized efforts by domestic terrorists, and that's what they are, to do things like box in law enforcement's cars where they can't even move.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson issued an executive order to ban some immigration enforcement operations on city-owned property. The state of Illinois is suing the Trump administration to block the National Guard from entering. A Washington Park area boy was found dead early yesterday morning. According to reports, the unidentified male victim had been shot in the chest. There are no suspects at this time. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Scott Jennings sees a clear message from the president.
Here's the quote from the president. If Hamas rejects the deal, then, as you know, Bibi, you have our full backing to do what you have to do. The ultimate result must be the elimination of any danger posed in the region, and the danger is caused by Hamas. Absolute moral clarity from the president.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at 1, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. For this free information, call 800-422-1609. 800-422-1609. 800-422-1609. Or simply visit godra.com.
You know what really keeps me up at night?
It's the criminals feel more and more bold. They have no fear of any consequences because there are none. So I did what anyone with a family should do. I called Goldilocks. They're not just some cookie-cutter security company. Goldilocks has been protecting Chicagoland homes and businesses for 4 decades, 40 years. And they actually listen. Their technician comes out to the house. He takes a look at what you need to make your house a smart home with a security system you can monitor from anywhere. It's built specifically for me and my family. Motion sensors, smart locks, cameras, monitoring, all customized. I don't trust anybody in Illinois to protect my family. I do it, and I did it by calling Goldilocks. I trust Goldilocks to keep my house, my property, and my family safe. Tell them Sean Thompson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months free monitoring with any new installation. Call Goldilocks at 708-899-5600. That's 708-899-5600. Or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
You know, nothing beats the comfort of a perfectly heated home.
And when it comes to heating your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Air Right Heating and Cooling is fast. When your furnace breaks down, they'll fix it right away.
Just like that. Big time results. No waiting around. You get the job done right. And let's face it, who doesn't love being warm, right? It's beautiful. When it's freezing, I crank up that amazing furnace. Burn, baby, burn. Trust me, you'll say, wow, I've never felt this warm in my life.
If you like keeping your hard-earned money, then contact Air Right Heating and Cooling. Tell them AM 560 sent you, and right now you'll receive $56 off any service.
Unbelievable.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Huber. During cold and flu season, a nearby cough or sneeze can trigger a familiar dread, that helpless feeling of being defenseless against an invisible viral threat. But what if you could change the narrative? What if you could fortify your body's natural defenses? This is why I developed Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail designed to give your body the upper hand. Virago is more than a supplement. It's a revolutionary liquid formula packed with 23 powerful natural nutraceuticals for rapid absorption. This unique blend is scientifically crafted to help build resilience and keep you protected. Don't just hope for good health. Make it happen with Virago. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
Virago. Order your bottle today online at myvirago.com and use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. myvirago.com. Coupon code IMMUNE.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. America recently learned that Jay Jones, the Democratic nominee for Virginia Attorney General, sent text wishing death on a political rival and his children. Someone who fails such a basic test of personal decency is obviously unfit, morally and perhaps psychologically, to serve as any state's top law enforcement officer. But apparently it's not obvious to everyone. Although Democrats, including Virginia Democratic gubernatorial nominee Abigail Spanberger, condemned the remarks, not one called for Jones to withdraw from the race. Not one. That's as shocking as the remarks themselves. Democrats stand united in supporting a man who wished death on his opponent's child. Extremism won't be stopped by appeals from the other side of the political divide. Democrats must be policed by Democrats. But to their shame, they simply refuse to do it.
Protect your liver and give it the support it deserves with Active Liver from New Nordic. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meijer Grocery, or online at Amazon or at newnordicusa.com.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Inbound on the Eden from Lake Cook to Montrose is 16. Outbound getting a little slow at 19. The Kennedy inbound from O'Hare to the Byrne Interchange real slow at 39 minutes. Outbound 43. The Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office 34 minutes. Outbound 26. Inbound Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 40. Outbound is 22. The Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange is 26. Outbound is 11. And on the north side in Westridge on Rockwell Street, both ways between Lunt Avenue and Greenleaf Avenue still shut down with police activity. This report is sponsored by King's Hawaiian Sliders. Eli Manning reminds you there's nothing like football and King's Hawaiian Sliders. There is something about those soft, fluffy, irresistible King Hawaiian sliders that make them a winner on game day. Pick them up this weekend in the bakery or deli section of your grocery store. King Hawaiian, there's nothing like it. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will bring abundant sunshine with a high of 65. Tonight, expect mainly clear skies with a low of 48. Tomorrow will start with some sun before turning cloudy, reaching a high of 69. Saturday looks to have plenty of sunshine with a high of 67. Sunday will be partly sunny with a high of 69. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Protecting Your Assets with Steve Scheinman. Listen Saturday mornings at 8. Learn more at willsave.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and of course the professional agitators hit the streets yesterday, downtown Chicago.
Ice off our streets now! We want justice, you say how! Ice off our streets now!
She sounds fun. Of course, they're always on the streets in Portland, the world headquarters of Antifa, it would seem, the Rose City Antifa, organized. Pam Bondi had something to say about that with President Trump yesterday. We'll get to that a bit later. But the conversation that Kristi Noem relayed on Jesse Waters' program with the mayor of Portland, this guy Keith Wilson, I thought after that Strickland character presided over the destruction of the city in the George Floyd / Kova era, that this Wilson fellow was going to be a little bit better. He was perceived to be a little bit more rational, less of a, sort of milquetoast enabler of, Antifa. But it doesn't seem like that's the case. And the conversation that Kristi Noem relayed that she had with him is prima facie evidence.
I met with him and also the superintendent of the state police. I told them what we wanted. We wanted more security here at the building, a bigger buffer zone to keep our officers safe. We wanted to have their streets opened up again and not let the anarchists run this city anymore, that we would ask them to continue to back us up like we've been asking for instead of what they've been doing the last several months, which is just leaving our officers hang out to dry. The chief asked if I wanted to meet with the mayor, and I said absolutely. Came back and just met with the mayor, and I'm so extremely disappointed. He's continuing to play politics, did not commit to any of those promises, and said that he'd give me an answer by tomorrow. And I'm hopeful that he will. What I told him is that if he did not follow through on some of these security measures for our officers, we were going to cover him up with more federal resources, and that we were going to send 4 times the amount of federal officers here so that the people of Portland could have some safety. They could have some security. Today, Jesse, we went and got a sex offender off the streets here in Portland that had been violating minors, and we're going to bring him to justice. And this Portland mayor tried to brag about him making our streets safer. No, absolutely not. It is our federal CBP and ICE officers that are cleaning up this city, and every single day they're going to stay dedicated to doing that. They said that they were glad that that was happening, but that they weren't going to change their posture. They're continuing to. Here's the deal, Jesse, is they're more scared of the anarchists that are down on the street right now yelling horrible, horrific threats at our officers than they are of the officers or the people that live in this city. Right next to this building is an apartment building filled with people who deserve to be able to come in and out of their building safely. I asked the mayor, I said, do you get to go home at night and walk from your car into your building and do so safely? Do you get to drive to work and be safe while you do that? I said, those people don't get the opportunity to do that.
The mayor of Portland, he didn't go full Brandon Johnson and declare Portland to be an ice-free zone. But he did say this: I continue to maintain that the tactics used by federal agents at the ICE facility are troubling and likely unconstitutional. That's what you get from all of these open borders politicians, these pro-lawless mayors and governors, lawlessness. You just get sort of the declaration that something is troubling, that it's unconstitutional, that it's against our... but you never get the details. And to the extent they share anecdotal details, they're always of the generic variety. Schools are being cased by ICE officers. Children in zip ties. Oh, really? Where did that occur? I don't exactly have those details at the ready. No, of course not. For more on all of this, we're pleased to be joined by Todd Lyons, who is the acting ICE director. Todd, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Pick a big city mayor, any big city mayor. It's sort of the same story in terms of the that party's representatives at the mayoral and in states like Oregon, Illinois, gubernatorial level. They are quietly thankful that ICE is removing repeat violent offenders in this country legally from the streets, but they won't acknowledge it. And not only will they not acknowledge it, they'll turn right around and call you terrorists and racists, as our governor has.
Yeah, that's a frustrating thing. Even before I was the acting director, when I was a field level leader, we'd run into elected officials that always want to thank us quietly. They'd recognize exactly what we were doing, yet leave that meeting and then go ahead and go scorched earth on us in the media. We're used to it. I love the fact that the mayor called it an ICE-free zone. The fact of the matter is, ICE has been doing immigration enforcement and criminal law enforcement since its inception back in 2003. And we've been in Chicago, and we've been making significant impacts, even before January 20th. So what's frustrating for me is the fact that, I see every day, we put out in the media every day, the heinous criminal aliens that we have arrested in Chicago and in Illinois in general, yet that falls on deaf ears, right? And all they're focused on is protesting at our facilities. It's really frustrating for us.
Well, it's more than protesting, of course. I mean, just this weekend, the two attempts on ICE officers' lives, and that's not me saying it. That's actually the Chicago chief of police saying it when the two different individuals used their vehicles to try to did attack ICE officers. And so, your reaction and your response to the rhetoric coming from the Governor Pritzker, from Mayor Brandon Johnson, against the backdrop of the shooting at the Dallas ICE facility, against the backdrop of what happened this weekend with multiple arrests and lives of ICE officers being endangered.
Yeah, it's extremely dangerous. A lot of those comments are disgusting. It's aimed at federal law enforcement officers doing a federal law enforcement mission and enforcing the laws that Congress has enacted. I understand people's position. They may not like immigration enforcement, then change the law. Any ICE director would sit there and stand with elected officials to change it however they want. But right now, we're going to enforce the law the way it is. And to incite violence, to say to resist ICE agents, there's such a minority out there of really crazy anarchists that will take those comments to an extreme. And look at Dallas. I've always been asked, what keeps me up at night? And Dallas was my worst nightmare. Here we are as a major city, and ICE officers are under sniper fire. That should never happen. And what was frustrating is just the night before, the governor of California goes on a nightly talk show and says that he would push back and resist ICE. Well, if you have elected officials saying to resist law enforcement, of course someone's going to take that to the extreme. And that's what we're seeing now. It's not a peaceful protest when someone uses, a 1-ton, 2-ton SUV to try to run CBP or ICE officers off the road or surround their vehicles, smash their tires, carry weapons to a protest. That isn't the First Amendment. That's lawlessness. And unfortunately, it's a lot of the comments of elected officials that are stoking this violence against my officers.
And Brandon Johnson suggesting that federal law enforcement officers should be arrested if they violate his his ICE-free zone ordinance, signs where you're not allowed to stage on this area of public property, that area of public property. Are you in contact with the chief of police in Chicago, Snelling? Do you have any concern that there's going to be any sort of confrontation between law enforcement agencies?
No, me personally, I haven't. I know the field leadership on the ground has been in good contact with the superintendent and the chiefs of police. I don't think this rhetoric, putting law enforcement against law enforcement helps anyone or really makes anyone safer. I'm not concerned about what the mayor signed yesterday because we don't need city parks, or we're not going to go to a school to stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, ICE has been doing our operations without this ICE-free zone. We'll continue to do it. I do appreciate the superintendent's comments, though, that he flat out said that any attack on law enforcement is wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that Chicago PD will come to our aid now. But, yeah, pitting law enforcement against law enforcement doesn't make anyone safe.
That South Shore, that apartment complex in South Shore on the south side of the city that was raided by ICE, this is something that has been used this week as an illustration of ICE's heavy-handed tactics, quote unquote unconstitutional tactics. Do you want to address what went down with that the raid on that apartment complex?
Sure, 100%. So that was a targeted criminal operation based on intelligence and federal warrants between Customs and Border Protection, Homeland Security Investigations, and the FBI. Now, what a lot of it's not being reported is the fact that this was turned into an abandoned apartment complex on the south side that Tren de Aragua TDA gang members had taken over, where we had intelligence that they had weapons, explosives, and were occupying many of the vacant apartments in there and pretty much terrorizing the poor residents that were still there. So when law enforcement has any intelligence like that, when we're facing known gang members that are now designated a foreign terrorist organization, of course we are going to go in with our SWAT teams and our special operations teams. Now, what came out of that, instead of being thankful for us taking back that apartment complex and getting rid of those known gang members, we get accused of separating families. We get accused of zip-tying children. There was a horrible photo that went around, whether it was AI or some other situation that had nothing to do with us, yet we get accused of that, right? Like any law enforcement mission, we have to identify everyone in that apartment complex, and we did, and those who were U.S. citizens were released. Those who were minors were released. But what frustrates me is the fact that the gang members we took out of there, the public safety threats, no one is bringing that up, right? And that's what's frustrating.
So, walk us through just how ICE works, and in response to comments that you get. I mean, it's rather incredible, but J.B. Pritzker again this week said basically, in addition to previously saying that ICE is just in the business of terrorizing and being cruel for cruelty's sake, he also said that ICE agents are just targeting non-white people. Just to harass non-white people, so they're just basically racially profiling, is what he's saying, and going up to people that are black and brown and asking for their papers and so on and so forth. That's his accusation, and your response in terms of how things are actually done.
What I could tell you from immigration and customs enforcement standpoint, what we do is targeted criminal enforcement, meaning that if someone's arrested by the Chicago PD and under their sanctuary policy, they've been released. We'll get that biographical data. We'll research their immigration history, their criminal history, and we'll go and target that individual specifically. Or if there's someone that has been ordered deported by an immigration judge under the Department of Justice and has not complied with that deportation officer, we'll go ahead and effect that arrest. Now, what we're no longer doing is turning a blind eye to any immigration violator, right? So if we go and because the city of Chicago released a known sex offender back into the community, and we conduct a traffic stop, and there might be 2 or 3 other individuals in that vehicle after we secure the scene and identify those people, and they're here illegally, well, we're no longer going to turn a blind eye. We're going to arrest them as well. The one thing I would say to a lot of elected officials is if you say we're terrorizing your neighborhood, then turn over these criminal aliens in a safe, secure spot, because you've already deemed them a public safety threat. You've already arrested them and put them in your local jails. So why would you not turn them back to us so we can remove them from the country and remove them from the communities instead of letting them go back and be a repeat violator? So ICE doesn't indiscriminately go out and just pull someone over because they're black or they're brown. We know exactly who we're going for. But like I said, under President Trump, we are no longer going to turn a blind eye to any immigration violation. We're going to enforce the law the way it's written. And I think that's what's frustrating people.
And I mean, I suspect there have been cases of mistaken identity, mistakes that are made when you've got 20,000 officers across the country doing this sort of work every day. But I mean, the point is to say, when mistakes are made or we've got the wrong guy, there's acknowledgement of that. There's, a corrective action that's taken, and there's transparency. And I think that's all anybody could ask for, and it frankly helps to diffuse and dispel some of this mythology that's being promulgated by, people that are anti-ICE, open borders, professional agitators.
Oh, 100%. And like you said, those types of situations happen across the board in every law enforcement aspect. No human's perfect, right? But instead, people like to capitalize and pounce on our smallest mistakes we have. So not only do our officers have to take the utmost security precautions and officer safety tactics to ensure they go home safe to their family every night, it's almost we have to be perfect on every arrest now, or else the media or these agitators or elected officials will just throw stones and cast us again as Nazis, Gestapos, racists, words that should never be used with law enforcement.
You mentioned the profiles on the people that you arrested. I got a DHS release this week that had about a dozen of them, and I shared that with our listeners. But is there a sort of a running listing and details on people taken into custody and their profiles like this release I'm referring to? Because I know the report is there have been more than 800 people apprehended by ICE since Operation Midway Blitz started, and I don't have I don't know where there's the best repository to get this information.
Sure. If you go to any of our social media sites, you go on X, on DHS.gov or ICE.gov, you can actually see what we're dedicated to is posting the worst of the worst, because we want the people of Chicago, we want the American public to see exactly who we are arresting. We're proud to say that over 70% of all the criminal aliens that we're arresting have either convictions or pending heinous charges, right? And a lot of these individuals flee their home country, and while they may not have a criminal record here in the United States, they're wanted for some of the worst crimes because they know they can go to a lot of these sanctuary jurisdictions and walk around with impunity because they're not going to be taken into custody, they're not going to be removed to their home country. So that's one big thing for us that's frustrating. But you can go to any of our social media sites, Operation Midway Blitz. It was in honor of Katie Abraham.
Yeah.
A great young lady that lost her life because there was someone in the country that had been encountered a few times that shouldn't have been here that killed her and her best friend in a DUI accident. That's what ICE is focused on. And unfortunately, a lot of the political rhetoric loses the public safety aspect. So I really encourage all your listeners or anyone that can hear this to really go to our social media sites, go to our websites. You'll see exactly who we're arresting.
Todd Lyons is the acting ICE director. Todd, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
And Todd Lyons joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
For decades, Dennis Prager shared his wisdom with listeners around the world through his lectures, courses, interviews, and debates. Now, for the first time, the collective wisdom of Dennis Prager is being made available as a podcast. Listen to Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager, with new episodes released for a limited time only as a podcast. Subscribe for free today at DennisPrager.com. That's Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager, exclusively at DennisPrager.com.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
AM 560, The Answer.
Just since I mentioned it in our conversation with Todd Lyons, what Pam Bondi announced yesterday, sitting next to the president, as it pertains to Antifa and other, Antifa has been designated basically a domestic terrorist organization, but others that engage in similar conduct. This is the disposition of the Department of Justice.
We're not going to stop at just arresting the violent criminals we can see in the streets. Fighting crime is more than just getting the bad guy off the streets. It's breaking down the organization brick by brick. Just like we did with cartels, we're going to take the same approach, President Trump, with Antifa. Destroy the entire organization from top to bottom. We're going to take them apart. Thanks to your bold leadership and the designation of Antifa as a terrorist organization, which is exactly what they are, Americans will no longer tolerate their unhinged violence.
And that includes following the money, of course. Should be interesting. Coming up at 7:07, Stephen A. Smith on Chicago. Not normally a fan, but when you're right, you're right. It is now 8 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
This is a Fox News alert. A great day in the Middle East. I'm Dave Anthony. That's what President Trump posted on Truth Social the morning after Israel and Hamas agreed to the Gaza ceasefire plan that he brokered.
In a phone call earlier this morning, Prime Minister Netanyahu thanked President Trump for his global leadership efforts to make this all possible.
That's Netanyahu spokesperson Shosh Bedrosian. The president says that all of the 48 hostages Hamas still has will be out probably Monday. That's being cheered across Israel.
Gil Dickman's cousin was killed in captivity, but he's joyful that others will return home safe.
20 of them are going to come back alive. And this is such a happy moment for us, the families of the hostages.
In Gaza, also huge relief that their own 2-year nightmare could soon be coming to an end.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. In about an hour, Israeli leaders are expected to sign off on the first phase of this plan.
There will be a ceasefire in place in Gaza, and then the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, will withdraw to the first of 2 lines inside of Gaza. After that, the hostages, 48 of them expected to be released.
Though for 28 families, they'll be getting remains of hostages killed either in the Hamas terror attack 2 years ago or in captivity. Some Trump supporters want the president to get the Nobel Peace Prize. It'll be awarded tomorrow. This morning, the Nobel Prize for Literature went to an author from Hungary. Some of his books have been turned into movies in this country. Jonathan Rinderknecht is due in court this morning in Orlando for what he's accused of doing in Los Angeles in January. Arrested in Florida Tuesday, he's charged with setting a fire that ultimately sparked the Palisades wildfire that left 12 people dead and thousands of homes burned. U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley tells Fox,
"We've eliminated every other cause of the fire. It was not fireworks. It was not lightning. It was no other cause other than an open flame, likely a lighter."
There's also a hearing today in federal court in Illinois as Democrats challenge President Trump deploying National Guard troops to the Chicago area. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 51 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. The government shutdown is now in day 8, and lawmakers are set again to vote on legislation to restore funding. Fox's Peter Ducey is at the White House with more on how flights are being impacted.
The latest on flight delays and cancellations, 460 delays, 25 cancellations. And we are hearing that House Speaker Mike Johnson is open to a special bill that would pay service members and air traffic controllers during a shutdown. But he's not going to bring the House back into session to do that until the Senate approves a funding package.
The FAA is limiting the number of flights that are arriving per hour at O'Hare International Airport, with delays averaging about 40 minutes due to staffing issues. Similar issues are affecting multiple other airports around the nation. Airport personnel recommend checking in with your airline regarding any policies regarding cancellations or delays due to the shutdown. A Washington Park area boy was found dead early yesterday morning. According to reports, the unidentified male victim had been shot in the chest. Authorities found the young man early Wednesday morning, but police believe he was killed sometime in the overnight hours. There are no suspects at this time. And authorities have released the names of a couple that were found dead in their vehicle in a North Chicago suburb earlier this week. Officials with the McHenry County Coroner's Office say 29-year-old Rachel Dumovich and 30-year-old Brandon Dumovich, both of Sharon, Wisconsin, were found shot to death inside a vehicle in Harvard, Illinois. Officials are investigating the circumstances around the pair's death. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have a Blue Cross, Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, you could save 90% off on average to get your smile back. Learn more and check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes, but time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The Danish drug manufacturer behind the weight loss and diabetes drug Ozempic and other medications is picking up a biotech company. Novo Nordisk says it's paying up to $5.2 billion to buy Akero Therapeutics, a biotech company with a drug in a late-stage trial to treat a fatal liver disease. Domino's Pizza rolls out its first new look in 13 years, a bolder color scheme from uniforms to boxes, and a new jingle created with the help of a Grammy-nominated artist. The company releasing a sizzle reel featuring Shabuzi.
I got it, bro. That's it. That's fine.
The company's leadership emphasizing the new look comes as it consistently gains market share over rivals. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Lillian Wu, invested in you.
Your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, happening on Saturday, November 8th at Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, along with Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out fast, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Lutheran Life Communities, Virago, and by Senior Helpers of Naperville.
Sean Thompson here, and I'm with the team from Access One, the founder and chairman, Mark Joswiak, and vice president, Enzo Scafidi. We're talking about how Access One can help business with their IT challenges. What's the best and the worst case scenario of the way to go? Is it managed or is it in-house?
I would say that when you have internal IT, you're closest to the source, you have people that understand everything very thoroughly. The problem is that there's only so much time in a day, and people need time off. You're sort of limiting yourself. Skill sets get stale. Now, if you outsource it or you have someone else manage it for you, which is essentially what managed IT means, you're getting kind of the best of both worlds. And that's really what Access One does. We support our customers 24/7, 365, and we're always up to speed with the latest and greatest in technology.
If your business needs help with managed IT, cybersecurity, or voice technologies, you need to contact the team at Access One. Learn more at accessoneInc.com. That's accessoneInc.com. Or call them directly today at 1-800-804-8333.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication on your accounts, report phishing, and update your software on all your devices. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock not only alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information, but also fixes identity theft, guaranteed, or your money back. So stay smart, stay safe, and stay protected with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use the promo code BECK. Terms do apply.
You ever wonder why Verizon charges twice as much as Pure Talk for the same basic service? Think it might have something to do with the fact that Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion. That's billion with a B. Yeah, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. That's why they can offer unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Save an additional 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say the words Micro. That's pound 250, Micro.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Adler. Inbound on the Eden from Lake Cook to Montrose is 18 minutes. Outbound is 27. The Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange is also 27 minutes. Outbound is 18 with an accident on the exit ramp for Montrose Avenue. The Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 37 minutes. Outbound is 30. Inbound Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore is 48 minutes. Outbound is 27. The Dan Ryan slows down inbound from 95th to the Burn Interchange interchange, 30 minutes. Outbound is 11. Jam-packed northbound on Lakeshore Drive as you approach Hollywood Avenue. And we are shut down with fire department and police activity on the north side in West Ridge, on Rockwell Street, both ways between Lund Avenue and Greenleaf Avenue. Traffic is a service of Quick Delivery Service. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will be sunny with a high of 65. Tonight will be mainly clear with a low of 48. Tomorrow, expect some sun followed by increasing clouds and a high of 69. Saturday will bring plenty of sunshine with a high of 67. Sunday will be partly sunny with a high of 69. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Know with Craig Bolanos, powered by VestGen Wealth Partners, Sunday morning at 10 on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. A couple of quick commentaries on Chicago that I think are worth hearing, getting reaction to. See if they ring true to you. I know Ken Griffin left Chicago, so he's not allowed to talk about it anymore. Get Chicago out your mouth. Get Illinois out your mouth. Leave Chicago and Illinois to the Chicagoans and the Illinoisans. Yeah, no, it's going great. Maybe you want to listen to one of the richest men in the world. No, we don't need him. Citadel, just another business. Okay. All right. Ken Griffin at Bloomberg Symposium on the exodus from not just Chicago, but New York as well. Well, just more for Florida.
You know, there's always, noise about this or that, but by and large, people love being in a city where your kids can jump in an Uber and you're not worried about it, where you can walk the streets at night and not worry about it. And Chicago, unfortunately, over the last 6 or 7 years, has been engulfed in a series of problems, which is our headquarters for years. Asking people to leave for Chicago or New York or Miami has not been hard. We've gone from probably 1,300 people in Chicago to a few hundred, from being the primary tenant of one of the largest skyscrapers to, I think we'll be down to 2 floors in a year. I think the sad part of the story was how many people who had built lives in Chicago were willing to walk away from that and move to Miami or New York, just given the challenges that Illinois has faced. I mean, the governor of Illinois has overseen a state that literally is. There are more murders in Chicago on a bad weekend than there is in Miami in a year. There are 50-some schools in the state of Illinois where not a single child is at grade level. Not one child is at grade level. 50 schools in Illinois. And I was with the governor of the state of Florida just a few days ago. We welcomed Success Academies to South Florida. They're going to open several new schools in the Miami area. There are hundreds of thousands of kids in the state of Florida who are in charter schools. And I know Eva Moskowitz was blown away by one thing. Everybody extended her the warmest of welcomes. We want her in Miami. We want our children to have the future that Success Academies will prepare them for. I mean, these will be kids that will go on from every socioeconomic background, that will go on to have great careers and great lives because they've had a great K through 12 education.
And just to close the loop on his comment, it's implicit, and Chicago doesn't want them. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line and text line. Sound familiar? People who built successful lives in Chicago that were willing to walk away, move to Miami or elsewhere. I mean, in Citadel, it's Miami or New York primarily, but of course it's not limited to that. That's just a illustration of the larger trend. what he said, too, about Success Academies, and I believe Griffin just poured $50 million into charter schools in Florida. I know, we don't need that. Get your money out to Illinois, Chicago, with your mouth. Let Chicagoans handle Chicago. Yeah, okay. What he said about the treatment. You know, the old saw that capital moves where it is to where it is treated the best. No, so do people. And where they have the most opportunities. Opportunity-rich environment. Where they're welcomed to ply their trades. And even just to express themselves. Without having the government attempt to prey on them and shut them up. One manifestation of the predation of state and local government here. One more. Stephen A. Smith, not normally a fan, bit of a blowhard. The idea he's considering running for president is comical to me. However, that doesn't mean he doesn't stumble into an insight from time to time. And, I don't know. Some people must like him. ESPN pays him a lot of money to be a blowhard. So he has to have some sort of following. And maybe he can get to people that I can't. So great. Happy to have the assistance where we can get it and from whom we can get it. And here's what Stephen A. Smith had to say on Chicago during an appearance on Fredo Cuomo's show over on News Nation.
When Trump sits down and says, hey, if you want my help, I'm more than willing to give it to you because the streets are not safe in various parts of this nation. I have been on the record stating that while I'm sure crime exists everywhere, I'm from the streets of New York City. Hell, it exists here. I'm sure it exists in Memphis and Portland and L.A. and stuff like that. I get that part. Chicago has always been a special scenario for me because Obama was in office as a junior senator. He was in the Capitol as a junior senator. It was going on then. It was going on before then. It was going on when he got there. Mm-hmm. It was going on when he was the president of the United States. It was going on when he departed and Trump was there his first term. It was going on with Biden, and it's still going on. And I don't believe, and I don't care what the data says. I don't care what kind of numbers they try to throw out at us. It has always, if you are a black person, you cannot deny how disturbing it repeatedly is that most often when you hear about violence, particularly in the streets of America, never escapes you that Chicago is always mentioned. And little to nothing has been done about it from a national perspective. So what you find yourself saying is, on one hand, Governor Pritzker, I don't agree with Donald Trump trying to send National Guardsmen to Chicago against your will. But I would also ask Governor Pritzker, why isn't it in your will to ask the feds for assistance? Because it appears like you've needed it.
It does, doesn't it? Appears to many outside observers. But in terms of if you're a black person, you don't, you have to acknowledge that when the topic turns to public safety and violent crime, Chicago's always mentioned, and that necessarily means black Chicago because, well, that's where it's in black neighborhoods where a preponderance of the violent crime occurs. Actually, a majority. And when it comes to murders, the supermajority of the victims are black people. So, yeah, I mean, you would think you would not be able to deny it, but unfortunately, we got all kinds of black politicians and black voters, not to mention the Raffles, the phony goo-goos on the lakefront, the honkies that deny reality all the time, that buy the beautiful lies all the time, that nod their head when Brandon Johnson and J.B. Pritzker stand at a podium and say, we know what to do, we're doing it, and it's working. I wish what Stephen A. Smith said was true, but it's not true. And I don't know if and when it'll ever be true, honestly. Steve in Downers Grove.
Yeah, Dan, it seems to me that the Jelly Belly and Brandon Johnson remind me of Governor Wallace down in Alabama in the early 60s. I believe President Eisenhower authorized federal troops to come in to help those poor ladies attend college.
Yeah.
And the governor stood up and said no. And we have a governor and a mayor that are doing the same thing. They're the new George Wallace right up here in the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois. Thanks, Dan. Have a great day.
Thanks. No, they're neo-segregationists. They are. The right wants to fight the Civil War. Yeah, well, I mean, we do want to fight against, from a policy perspective, rhetorically, neo-segregationists like Brandon Johnson. Why do you think Chicago is the most de facto segregated city in the country? It has been for some time because of politicians like Brandon Johnson. The performance of the schools, the quality of life in these neighborhoods that have long been riddled with violent crime, generation after generation after generation. The project, white, black, Latino, whatever. Terrible public policy that has mainly, or I should say, terrible public policy that has disproportionately negatively impacted black families in Chicago, like black families in major urban centers, like black families in this country in general. But, and the good news is the majority are still going to the same well, but that majority is shrinking a little bit, at least when it comes to the presidential. How you can live in Chicago or Chicagoland and struggle to stay safe and align yourself with J.B. Pritzker is beyond me. I do not understand it, except to the extent that it is just rank ignorance. Or, whatever. Maybe you've got a government job and you feel like you've got to fall in line. But to acknowledge that this is not an individual that is acting in furtherance of your interests. How that is not patently obvious to the supermajority of people in this region, because it is largely downstate. In this region, how that is not patently obvious? I don't know. How people let, these gruesome activewear raffles in the suburbs speak for them. How they believe that they're aligned with them. I mean, it's Trump said climate change is the biggest con that's ever been played. I mean, the government gambits, the trillions and trillions. I think this idea that big government and these big government politicians are the salvation of working people struggling to get ahead is the biggest con game. And we've spent trillions and trillions more on all these big government gambits. A lot of these programs, which as we were talking about last week when we discussed the homelessness with our friend Kevin Dahlgren from Portland, the homeless are getting more conservative because they want to be empowered, not enabled. The biggest scam ever is the welfare state. The biggest scam is that the incremental spend and the new program, whether it's at the local or the state or the federal, that's going to be the way that you finally get ahead, get what you are owed, can access opportunities that you previously didn't. Neo-segregationists who want people on a plantation. That's Brandon Johnson and J.B. Pritzker. If you want to put a fine point on it. how people don't see this. Ignore your lived experience. Ignore your circumstances. Just listen to Pritzker's phony braggadocio in the direction of Trump. And what? And pump your fist. Yeah, you go get him. Go get him and do what? For you. And after his 8-year probationary period, what's the one thing you really love that J.B. Pritzker has done for you? Put a dispensary in your neighborhood? Or a video poker hall? Or an abortion mill? Hooray! Sam in Oak Brook, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Dan, I'm getting a little tired of all this liberal media and these people on the reels and everything taking pictures of Chicago. They did it yesterday with the Cubs game, how safe the neighborhood is. I encourage these people to take a drive down to O Block, Parkway Gardens, at 4:30, 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, pull out their cameras and walk through O Block and tell me how safe you feel in the neighborhood. Why do you think they don't do that?
Thanks for the call, Sam. Jim in LaGrange.
Hey, Dan. So I'm a pretty street-savvy guy, and forget about Parkway Gardens. I was downtown for a wedding this weekend around State and Lake Street, and I've got to tell you something. As soon as the sun went down, it was happening throughout the day, but drug addicts everywhere. I saw a poor guy flopping around like a fish. There's on the ground. There's people drinking coffee out of cups from garbage cans. There's people saying, "Come on, man, I'm going to mess you up. I want to fight you." We had dinner at Smith and Walensky's on the river, and the waitress tells us, make sure you have any valuables that are on you underneath your seat because this is a public parkway here. And this is 7 o'clock at night. I'm telling you, until you know the city, and I've lived here my whole life, and until you experience it now in the evening, you're going to see the homeless people, the drug addicts, the mentally ill people. They are everywhere. And I had my head on a swivel. I told my wife, I'm like, that's it. We're done. We're not going anywhere else tonight. It's like 7:30 in the evening. Chicago is done right now. There were no beat cops. I saw 0 beat cops and 0 patrol cars in 2 days in the downtown area. Dan, I'm not going back down there again. It's just too tough and too rough, and I'm not putting my life and my wife's life on the line. Have a great day.
Thanks for the call, Jim. It's also just, it feels, I mean, I see what he's saying. I'm down there. I was down there this week for dinner. It's also desolate. Well, and for the reasons you mentioned, on a lot of the main drags, it's just not what it used to be, even just a few years ago. And, you can believe all the beautiful lies you want. I get that. I know it's a coping mechanism of in some ways, and then there's just a bunch of people that are insulated from reality because they have enough wealth, which is what I've been saying for years on the radio. That's what's happening in Chicago. It's people that are insulated from reality because they have the wealth to insulate themselves, and people who are beneficiaries of transfer payments on the plantation, and not much in between. And that doesn't work. And it's not working. Bill in Waukegan.
Hey, Dan, I just wanted to comment on the previous person you had on. It was, I equated that whole thing with ICE like I saw on William Wallace as far as Braveheart, where the ICE officials are sitting there calling for support, and the cops just, come out of nowhere. And instead of the cops from Chicago not embracing the ICE officials, that they get there and they hug the Chicago Police Department and they hug the ICE cops and everything, and then they sit there and they just go ahead and just bust heads, takes names, and just start arresting everybody.
Get after Longshank and his men. Yeah, right.
Exactly. Yes, sir. Thanks for taking my call, Dan.
Thanks, Bill. Scott Sycamore.
Dan, good morning. The sad part about all of this is it's being incentivized. All of this that's going wrong in our state with the crime and everything. You have hundreds of millions of dollars that's given for crime. You have all this money that's given for all these different things. And now, with things like Michigan Avenue, getting mugged in open public, you have all this tourism, everything else is dropped. So what are we doing? We're incentivizing, we need more money for the crime, for everything else, so let's take more taxes. And we're all getting screwed in the process. And the reason nobody does anything is because your media feeds it all day long. I watched the news last night just to see what was going on after the Trump peace deal. It was a blip on the news with a big, huge negative from somebody from Palestine. And then half of the newscast was anti-ICE, look at what's going on. You're feeding that animal, and that's what people see. And that's why we're in the situation we're in.
Thanks for the call, Scott. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a part of it. The media is complicit in the destruction, the disintegration of Chicago and Chicagoland. There's no question, in Illinois, for that matter. Yeah, I think it's really government, though, allied against the people who finance it. I mean, the federal government union workers that were protesting yesterday, the state government grantees, the professional agitators that get money from the state to be professional agitators that were leading the anti-ICE protests down Michigan Avenue last night. It really is, in addition to many of the public policy I just mentioned, it is people inside the government, at least at the policymaking level, who are allied against the interests of people outside the government. You will, all things have to run through the government, and if you resist, you will be assimilated. But people don't see it that way. People see government as this force for good. Really? How's that experiment going here? Jeff in his car.
Yeah, hey, I thought it'd be interesting if we brought back the Walter Jacobson dressed as a homeless person expose.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for the call. Yeah, the first-person perspective from Skippy Jacobson. Yeah, that's what we need. Matt, Southside.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Real quick, I was watching you were talking to start of the segment out with them talking about moving your business and everything to Florida. I was watching something the other day, old newscast, the news break from CBS News, and they were talking about how many kids in the United States, not just Illinois, weren't at proficient reading skills back then. I don't get it. I feel like everybody talks about how things are getting worse. Segments from the old newscast, and it literally is all the same stuff. So I don't get it. I'm just so frustrated because we keep being told that things are getting worse, but then you go back and you look at newscasts from 25 years ago, and they're talking about how kids in the United States couldn't read then.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Thanks for the comment. Right, a disturbing number of kids couldn't read then, and that number has gotten worse. We've spent more money to finance more government schools, more centrally planned. More centrally planned institutions in terms of the infrastructure of K through 12 education. You can include the university too. And we've lost ground. So what does that tell you about the approach? By the way, something too, just as a quick aside. I got to tell you, what Ken Griffin was talking about and the flight from these big cities right now that are on fire. This statistic is jarring, and with the AI revolution upon us, we've got a powder keg brewing. 48% of U.S. adults, only 48% of U.S. adults under the age of 30 have a full-time job. Less than half of adults under the age of 30 have a full-time job. And AI is going to be a problem, particularly for those who are not high achievers, for those who didn't have access to good schools to get an education that puts them into position and gives them the disposition to want to be a high achiever. 48% of people under the age of 30 have a full-time job. And full-time jobs are not available when companies are leaving and investment is dissipating. And that's what's happening in Chicago and Illinois. But you go ahead and believe the beautiful lies from JB and BJ. Coming up at 8:38, we'll talk to a candidate trying to shake things up. Her name is Christian Maxwell. She is a Republican candidate for Congress in the 1st. She joins us at 8:38. Now it's time to check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 51 degrees in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the AM 560 newsroom. The federal government shutdown has entered into its second week, and already shortages of air traffic controllers have strained operations and disrupted flights at some U.S. airports, including O'Hare here in Chicago. Now, authorities say that situation may well get worse if the shutdown continues and employees start to miss paychecks. And they say there's no way to predict what airports might have problems on any given day, so they advise you to be sure to check your flight status before you head to the airport. And if your flight is canceled, they say airlines should rebook you on a later flight. Now, if you no longer want to take that trip, you should be able to get a refund. But keep in mind, each airline has policies that differ from the other, and airlines are not required to pay cash compensation. FBI Director Kash Patel says Chicago has 110,000 gang members. Patel added that President Donald Trump sent FBI into the cities quietly to set the stage for the National Guard. News is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Overpaying for dental implants is over. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average and get your smile back. Check if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago 2025, happening on Saturday, November 8th at Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. This year, featuring Dr. Ben Carson, Scott Jennings, Mike Gallagher, along with Dan Proft, Sean Thompson, John Anthony, and many more. This event will sell out fast, so get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Nauman and Associates, Scott Tucker Solutions Incorporated, and by Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago.
If you need custom boxes and crates, expert packing and crating, import-export transloading with heavy lift capability, the DC Group delivers. It all started 51 years ago with DC Export and Domestic Packing, the hard work of founders Dominic and Carol Cochamiglio. Their family's desire to exceed customer expectations, backed by an incredible team and loyal customers, is now driving expansion. From their humble roots in a garage-sized building to 100,000 square feet in the Chicago area, 45,000 in Greenville, and a new Houston facility, they're coast to coast. And their sister company, DC Transport, handles everything from container drayage to super heavy haul loads across North America since 1991. Whether it's packing and crating, transloading, transportation service, or trade shows, the DC Group delivers. Those that attended FabTech 2025, we'd love to hear from you. Get your quote now at dcexport.com. That's dcexport.com, your trusted logistics partner.
Hi, Dan Proft here. Data shows that boys make up more than 1/3 of those exploited in the sex trade. However, there are virtually no services available to male victims and survivors of trafficking and exploitation. They are often overlooked, ignored, and left without support. For 35 years, Emmaus has been on the front lines of an issue most of us can hardly imagine, helping men and boys in Chicago escape the nightmare of human trafficking and rebuild their lives. On Friday, November 1st, you're invited to attend an unforgettable evening at the Emmaus 35th Anniversary Gala at Fisherman's Inn in Elburn, Illinois. Together, they'll celebrate faith, freedom, and restoration with a beautifully catered dinner, an inspiring program, and a silent auction, all to support the mission of rescuing and restoring survivors. This is your chance to do something that truly matters. Reserve your seat today, or if you can't attend, make a life-changing donation at streets.org. That's streets.org. Emmaus is restoring lives. Let's help them keep going. Visit streets.org.
Honey, what's for dinner?
Honestly, nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Because every time I need a pan, I have to unload half the kitchen first.
It's like Jenga, but with casserole dishes.
Exactly. And I always lose.
At Forever Remodeling, we create kitchens that fit your life, not the other way around. From smart storage to stunning finishes, start cooking in a kitchen built just for you. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
You know, nothing beats the comfort of a perfectly heated home.
And when it comes to heating your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Air Right Heating and Cooling is fast. When your furnace breaks down, they'll fix it right away.
Just like that. Big time results. No waiting around. You get the job done right. And let's face it, who doesn't love being warm, right? It's beautiful. When it's freezing, I crank up that amazing furnace. Burn, baby, burn. Trust me, you'll say, wow, I've never felt this warm in my life.
If you like keeping your hard-earned money, then contact Air Right Heating and Cooling. Tell them AM 560 sent you, and right now you'll receive $56 off any service.
Unbelievable.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Adler. Inbound on the Eden from Lake Cook to Montrose is 18, outbound 28. The Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange is 29 minutes, outbound is 19, but a crash on the exit ramp for Montrose Avenue has been cleared away. The Eisenhower inbound slows down from Wolf to the Old Post Office, 44 minutes, outbound is 27. Inbound Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore, 45 minutes, outbound 22. The Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange is 29 minutes, outbound is 11. Northbound Lakeshore Drive jam-packed as you approach Hollywood Avenue. Stop and go northbound on the Tri-State between Reagan Memorial and the Eisenhower due to slow traffic getting onto the ramp to the outbound Eisenhower. And we're still closed on the north side with police activity and fire department activity both ways on Rockwell Street between Lunt Avenue and Greenleaf Avenue. Traffic is a service of Placeholder. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your forecast from the National Weather Service.
Today will bring abundant sunshine with a high of 65. Tonight, expect mainly clear skies with a low of 48. Tomorrow will start with some sun before turning cloudy, reaching a high of 69. Saturday looks to have plenty of sunshine with a high of 67. Sunday will be partly sunny with a high of 69. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. You know, we try. People say, Dan, you should have Christian Maxwell on the show. She's running for Congress against, you know, one of the Jackson kids. Jonathan in this case, and needs some attention, bright young woman, and all these things. I'm sure she is. But, you know, yeah. Got to be organized. So if you have opportunities for media hits, you need to make them. Or not. And so it goes in Illinois. Okay. Well, I'll have a little fun. Grady Judd is the Polk County Sheriff down in Florida, don't you know? He is always entertaining. Very colorful guy. We have mentioned him a few times on the show because he posts some provocative videos. This week he went after Chicago in terms of that stand-down order. It was no joke. But usually what he posts about are basically like his own version of the show Cops, where he just tells amazing and ridiculous stories about the sorts of things that law enforcement has to deal with. Like, for example, this guy.
Now listen, there's things you can't make up. So we arrested Walter Frymere. He's 51. We got a call that he was naked inside of a restroom at a public park. So we ask, is he naked or buck naked? You know, you can be naked and still have your socks on. But if you're buck naked, you're totally naked. Well, anyway, our deputy gets there. The dude's got all of his clothes on. So we're nice, and we send him out of the park and trespass him and tell him we're not going to arrest you, even though people saw you here without any clothes on. We're going to give you a break. So what does he do? He goes across the street and hops up on what? The railroad train track and trespasses again, just as soon as we gave him the break. So the deputy arrests him. We find out he's already got 25 prior arrests and been to state prison 5 times. So not only is he trespassed, we've got him in possession of meth. Well, I've talked about meth doing crazy stuff to you, right? You ain't gonna believe this. So we put everybody through a body scanner to make sure that they're not trying to bring guns and knives and drugs into the jail. Well, you might have thought Walter was bringing drugs into the jail. He brought a thermos into the jail. That's right. He put it up the exit ramp. You know what I mean? A thermos about this size.
Showing the x-ray.
No, it wasn't this one. We saw that and we said, dude, what are you doing here? He said, well, I put that inside my body and he didn't swallow it 24 hours earlier. The deputy saved his life. Oh, and that was after Walter threatened to kill the deputy for arresting him. We had to take him to the hospital. They had to find a specialist. It was quite the ordeal, but he's thermaless in the county jail today. I told you weren't going to believe it. Never seen it before. Have another drink of coffee. Have a good day.
Real crime stories with Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd. That guy's fun. I mean, he's fun.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
They took everything. Our equipment, our supplies, it's all gone.
It's devastating. Every order is going to be delayed for months, and our customers are going to find someone else.
I don't know if we'll ever recover from this. We're already getting calls from clients checking on their orders.
Who knows how long it will take to get back on our feet? What were we thinking not upgrading our security?
Don't let a break-in devastate your business. Protect yourself with Goldilocks. They'll create a customized security solution for you. From commercial doors with keyless entry to 24/7 alarm monitoring, they have you covered. Learn more at GoldilocksInc.com and have a security technician conduct an on-site assessment of your business. Plus, AM 560 listeners get their first 3 months of monitoring free with a new install. Call Goldilocks now. 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Goldilocks, Chicagoland's premier locksmith doors and security systems company since 1981.
Is your business using Windows 10? Very soon, updates for your system will no longer be available. Yes, the clock is ticking on Windows 10. Microsoft will no longer provide free updates, technical support, and security fixes for Windows 10 and previous versions. So take action before your business is impacted. Turnkey is offering a free Windows readiness check. This assessment will analyze your network needs and prepare your business for Windows 11. Don't wait. If you're not ready, your system is vulnerable and could be hacked. All your data could be lost. Could your business afford that? Visit turnkey.pro to sign up for your free assessment. Turnkey can help prepare you for the transition, ensuring a seamless move from Windows 10 to Windows 11. Ask about the free Windows readiness check today. Visit turnkey.pro before there's no support for Windows 10. Again, that's turnkey.pro. Turnkey, your small business champions.
MyPillow is excited to announce they're having their biggest 3-in-1 sale ever with a limited edition product, a back-in-stock special, and a closeout deal you won't find anywhere else. MyPillow bed sheets only $29.88. Any color, any style, any size. Even kings, regular $119.98, only $29.88. Once they're gone for good. My Towels are finally back in stock, but not for long. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And for the first and only time, get their limited edition premium My Pillows made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset. Queens $17.98, Kings only $19.98. Also, for a limited time, when your order is over $100, you'll receive free shipping plus $100 in free digital gifts. So go to mypillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
That's cold! Don't get stuck with a cold shower this fall. Give CenterGuard Plumbing a call. Get a new 40-gallon water heater installed for just $1,195 for standard installation, or a 50-gallon heater for $1,295 standard installation. A proud new sponsor of AM 560, CenterGuard is offering specials on new water heaters. Don't wait. The cold temperatures are coming, and the same can happen to your water heater. If you're having hot water issues or your water heater's over 8 years old, take advantage of this fall special today. CenterGuard Plumbing is Chicagoland's same-day water heater experts. Call before noon, and they can schedule your repair or install the same day on in-stock water heaters. They'll even haul away your old one, no charge. You're only a text away from install today. Call 847-406-8883. Mention AM 560 to receive fall special pricing. That's 847-406-8883. Call or text 847-406-8883 or visit CenterGuardPlumbing.com.
Are you tired of tech headaches slowing your business down? Unique Computing Solutions has been the go-to IT team for businesses in Illinois and Northwest Indiana for nearly 30 years. Your systems should be running smoothly, your data secured, and your communications streamlined. Visit our website today at uniquecomputingsolutions.com. That's uniquecomputingsolutions.com. Your IT challenges solved.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft, and mentioned earlier in the program, Jesse Jr. is back. Jesse Jackson Jr. With a fresh new look. He's wearing my great aunt's glasses now. He looks emaciated almost. Anyway, he's running for his old congressional seat that Robin Kelly is vacating to run for Senate. They never go away, not willingly. And that brings us to an update on Katie Porter. This, because she's so center cut, suburban raffle. Although she's not very rich, certainly not by California politician standards. But suburban raffle, she's sort of a grotesque figure, both sort of physically and in terms of her personality. She got bounced from Congress. She came back and ran for Senate. She lost in the primary to Schiff. And now she's back running for governor. And she had, and again, like center cut. She's grotesque, so unattractive in every possible way. Physically, intellectually, rhetorically, morally, every possible way. But credentials, she's got those. Yale undergrad, Harvard Law, assistant law professor at some mediocre law school out west. And run for governor. The kind of people that, these shrill pro-abortion harridans out of, like Glen Ellen or Downers Grove would really enjoy. But she has got national attention over the last couple of days for all the wrong reasons, for letting who she really is shine through. And it's, not a good look. This was an interview with a CBS affiliate reporter in California. So, how aggressive is this interview really going to be? It's a very simple question. We brought this to you yesterday, but let's revisit it. And she had this meltdown.
What do you say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, ma'am?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. You think you'll get 60%. Everybody who did not vote for Trump will vote for you. That's what you're saying.
In a general election, yes. If it is me versus a Republican, I think that I will win the people who did not vote for Trump.
What if it's you versus another Democrat?
I don't intend that to be the case.
So how do you not intend that to be the case? Are you going to ask them not to run?
No, I'm saying I'm going to build the support. I have the support already in terms of name recognition. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to do the very best I can to make sure that we get through this primary in a really strong position. But let me be clear with you. I represented Orange County. I represented a purple area. Mm-hmm. I have stood on my own 2 feet and won Republican votes before. That's not something every candidate in this race can say. If you're from a deep blue area, if you're from LA or you're from Oakland, you don't have an experience.
But you just said you don't need those Trump voters.
Well, you asked me if I needed them to win.
So you don't think
I feel like this is unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question?
The question is the same thing I asked everybody, that this is being called the empowering voters to stop Trump's power grab. Every other candidate has answered this question. This is not argumentative.
And I said I support it.
So, and the question is, what do you say to the 40% of voters who voted for Trump?
Oh, I'm happy to say that. It's the do you need them to win part that I don't understand. I'm happy to answer the question as you have it written, and I'll answer it.
And we've also asked the other candidates, do you think you need any of those 40% of California voters to win? And you're saying, no, you don't.
No, I'm saying I'm going to try to win every vote I can. And what I'm saying to you is that...
Well, to those voters. Okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Every other candidate has answered.
I don't care.
Follow-ups.
I don't care. I want to have a pleasant, positive conversation in which you ask me about every issue on this list. And if every question you're going to make up a follow-up question, then we're never going to get there.
Ms.
And
Porter,
we're just going to circle around.
I am an investigative
I have never
reporter.
had to do this before, ever.
You've never had to have a conversation with
to end
a
an
reporter?
interview.
Okay, but every other candidate has done this.
What part of I'm me? I'm running for governor because I'm a leader. So I am going to make...
So you're not going to answer questions from reporters? Okay, why don't we go through? I will continue to ask follow-up questions because that's my job as a journalist, but I will go through and ask these, and if you don't want to answer, you don't want to answer. So nearly every legislative...
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you, and I don't want this all on camera.
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you either. I would love to continue to ask these questions so that we can show our viewers what every candidate feels about every one of these issues that they care about. And redistricting, it's a massive issue. We're going to do an entire story just
on that. So happy together. Why don't you understand? I'm a leader. Wanted to have a pleasant experience. Hey, listen. You obnoxious shrew. How untalented are you? When somebody asks, how are you going to appeal to 40% of the electorate? You have a stock answer that says, I'm going to run on blah, 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 my values. I'm going to, run on issues that are supported by a wide range of people, by these positions. And so, I mean, it's a simple question. Completely quotidian, actually. And yet that's the kind of response you get from this obnoxious shrew that I just mentioned. Oh, and by the way, now what she's done is open the floodgates for all of the other Katie Porter indelible moments to be revisited. She's done herself a real solid here. And I'm not just talking about the anger management person that she had to see as part of her divorce proceeding after she, among other things, allegedly poured a pot of hot mashed potatoes on the head of her ex-husband. That guy must have been a piece of work. These are, and I actually had forgotten about this, but I'm so glad Katie Porter decided to remind everybody who she is so we could present more of the best of Katie Porter. Like this conversation she had with her 12-year-old daughter, she said, after Trump won.
So on election night, I went to pick up my daughter from water polo practice, and she's 12, and she got in the car and she was crying. And I said, did someone punch you? Like, water polo is a rough sport. I was like, did someone hit you? Did the coach yell at you? What happened? And she said, Mom, Trump won. Trump's going to win. And what if I get raped and I need to have an abortion? This is from a 12-year-old, my 12-year-old daughter. And so it was really a reminder of how scary this time is for people, and how important it is for Democrats to have strategies, both at the state level and the federal level, to make sure that we can continue to protect people's rights.
Really? If that's a true story, that your 12-year-old daughter asked you, what if I get raped and need an abortion in response to Trump winning? If that's true. Where would she learn that? I'm going to take Katie Porter at face value and say that that's a true story. So the follow-up, I know she doesn't do follow-up questions, but my follow-up was, golly, where did she come to believe that? It's just a commentary on you, Mom, isn't it? If you want an unhappy experience as opposed to a happy experience, which Katie Porter wanted. She wanted a pleasant conversation. She wanted a happy experience. I'll tell you what's a real unhappy experience. Being a staffer for Katie Porter.
If we don't electrify our transportation sector, that we're going to lose more than 500,000 Californians dying prematurely to air pollution and other problems. And the state could lose. Get out of my shot.
That's actually incorrect. It's not that it's electric vehicles. It's that if we don't meet the commitments under the Paris Climate Accord.
Okay, it does. Okay, you also were in my shot before that. Stay out of my shot. Okay, I'm going to start again with electric vehicles saving us money.
What a delight. Know anybody in your neighborhood, those residents of the leafy suburbs that fits the profile? I bet you do. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Chicago's Morning Answer. It is now 9 a.m. AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Israel's security cabinet is about to gather